Texas.
Oh, Texas.
Thank you, Daniel.
Rangers.
Thank you to Saul for hooking us up earlier on in the night. You can super chat as well. Get your name on the screen. Super chat. It's not potato. It's not rhinoceros.
Listen, man, whatever you think.
It's rhinoceros.
I'm sure all of England agrees with me.
I don't know why. Whenever you mispronounce something, you're like, this other country, I'm sure they pronounce it this way. It makes no sense. Rhinoceros. That's so bad. Patrick C. Hamilton just checked in with a super chat. Thank you, Patrick.
Hi. Thank you, buddy.
The number one sign. I like that. Thank you, Patrick. Hey, shout out to JC dropping the super chat. Says, keep up the good work. Always enjoy your watch long.
JC, thanks.
Thank you, JC.
We love you, buddy. Thank
Our
you.
main man, JC. Oh, Ben Deuce just dropped his $10 for the Braun Strowman win. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Nice.
A man of his word, man. A man of his word.
Are we on?
Dave, we are not hearing you.
Wait a
Dave,
second.
I
Here we
hear
go.
squat.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Oh, hallelujah.
There we go. It's
Woo.
Ringside Report. Welcome to the show. You're on. AJ, you hear me? I hear you. We're on. We're all good. We had a bit of a technical hiccup before the show, but we are on now, and we are ready to go. We've got UFC 250 to preview. That's coming up on Saturday night. Amanda Nunes taking on Felicia Spencer for the UFC Women's Featherweight Championship. Rafael Assunção taking on Cody Garbrandt in the co-main event. Corey Sandhagen against Aljamain Sterling. Neil Magny against Anthony Rocco Martin. And Sugar Sean O'Malley against Eddie Wineland. A lot of bantamweight fights on this pay-per-view. And I wonder now, with no bantamweight champion, will one of these fights be a number one contenders for the bantamweight title? Of course, Peter Yan and Jose Aldo are going to fight at some point in the UFC for the vacant bantamweight championship. Henry Cejudo, the former champion, I think is pro wrestling now. I'm not sure what Henry Cejudo's doing, but he vacated the championship. He retired from MMA. So we'll try and figure out who the next number one contender in the bantamweight division will be. We'll also tell you who the women's featherweight champion will be when it's all said and done on Saturday night. We'll also talk about Jon Jones. And I want to talk about Jon Jones here right off the bat, guys. Johnny Bones Jones seems like he's done with the UFC, which pretty disappointing, pretty shocking. Now let me check out some tweets here from Jon Jones. You guys will be able to see this. This is what Jones tweeted on the 31st of May. Hashtag ESPN, Reyes versus Yan for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship of the world. As of right now, I got nothing to really gain fighting either of them. Let me know if you guys want to set up a day in 2021 for that Izzy fight. Hopefully you guys will be willing to pay by then. So it looks like Jon Jones is out. He went back and forth with Dana White. You know, we talked about it last week on the show. Jon Jones wanted that Deontay Wilder money. He wanted $25 to $30 million to move up to heavyweight and fight Francis Ngannou. I didn't think that was too much money. I didn't think that was a big ask for Jon Jones, maybe the greatest fighter that's ever lived, to go up, risk his undefeated streak to take on a challenge that is very, very daunting in Francis Ngannou, who's got just superpower in his hands, very dangerous, much bigger than Jon Jones. Jones would be risking a lot going up to heavyweight, and it would be a massive fight that would sell a lot of pay-per-views. UFC felt otherwise. And Jon Jones and Dana White going back and forth. Dana said some things that Jon didn't like. Jon said some things that Dana didn't like. And now, Jon Jones says he's done with the UFC. He's done with the Light Heavyweight Championship. One of the greatest fighters of all time may be done with fighting. That is not good. Freddie, I know what AJ's opinions are going to be. They're going to be anti-Jones. I know they're going to be anti-Jones. Whatever AJ says is going to be against Jon Jones in some way. So I want to hear like a real opinion from Fred before we get the sideshow that is AJ DeLesio, my good buddy over there.
Well, you might not like my opinion because I'm going to say, like, if you think Jon Jones is not going to fight again in the UFC, I got to call crazy on that because Jon Jones is definitely going to fight again in the UFC. It might take a while. It might not be before 2021 like he tweeted, but he's definitely going to fight again in the UFC. And another thing, you mentioned, like, he wanted Deontay Wilder money. I think that's been disputed. Jon Jones himself said that he didn't ask nowhere near those numbers that you mentioned, 25 to 35. And if you look throughout his career, people have estimated that like his top earning fight was 8.2 million. So whatever he asked more than that, you know, I probably think it was reasonable. Jon Jones says it's not crazy money like that. But at the same time, the UFC is in a climate right now that they're not going to renegotiate any contracts with anybody. So look, it's sad for the fight, for the fans. In the end, it's sad for the fans because I think the fans would have loved to see this Jon Jones versus Ngannou fight. It's just not going to happen. There's too many hurdles right now for it to happen, unfortunately. So Jon Jones saying that he's taking some time off, that's probably the best thing he could do because at the same time, his couple of last fights were a little bit of lacklusters. So, you know, like, time off will make people want you more. Like, if you take some time off, people are going to forget those last couple of fights, and they're going to say, oh, we need to see some Jon Jones. So time off could be a good thing also for Jon Jones. And I expect him to make a big payday the next one, but he's not going to get those 25 to 35 you mentioned.
I don't think Jon Jones taking time off is good for Jon Jones. First of all, what's he going to do with that time off, right? And second of all, he's taken so much time off from his career, forced time off, different things, different problems he's had, you know, suspensions, all sorts of things that have kept Jon Jones away from the octagon. More time off, self-imposed time off, contractual time off is not something I want to see from Jon Jones. I want to show you some Dana White here. This is from MMA Junkie. This is Dana White after the last UFC last Saturday where Gilbert Burns put a beating on Tyron Woodley, which we'll talk about as well. But here's Dana White talking about Jon Jones here.
Obviously, yesterday you spoke about Jon Jones, and then as soon as you finished talking, he basically tweeted out saying that if you want to, he'd like you to show those texts that you supposedly have, and still basically saying that you're not telling the truth about the interaction. Any plans to show those texts?
What do you do? Who do you believe? It's up to you guys.
Fair enough.
Fuck would I lie for? What do I gain in lying about it? Why would I lie? It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You know, obviously he's fired up right now, and he had a great talk yesterday with Hunter, my lawyer, who's he's really close to Jon Jones and likes him, and they have a good relationship, and they had a good talk yesterday. But it is what it is. I really don't care. I could care less, to be honest with you. So.
Whoa. Can we stop there for a second here, guys? He doesn't care. He doesn't care that Jon Jones doesn't want to fight in the UFC anymore. This guy's supposed to be the promoter of the biggest fight promotion in the world, and he doesn't care that the greatest fighter currently fighting, he doesn't care.
Mr. Carter.
AJ, you know my name. It's not. But what do you want?
You wouldn't know that television show anyways, but Freddie would. First of all, I'm getting frustrated right here.
Okay.
First of all, you started the show, and we were a little late. Lucky I had some vodka with a splash of cranberry. I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to rant on Jon Jones, which you thought I would. In fact, I have a lot more respect for Jon Jones this week than I ever did. So first of all, I'm going to take a knee for George, like Jon Jones has done. He was the first. Listen to this, bud. He's the first professional athlete to have actually voiced his frustrations with the evil.
Okay, well, no, AJ, no, AJ, no, we're not going there. We can't go there. It's a financial thing. It's a monetary thing with YouTube. We're not going there. We're not talking about it. If you want to hear our thoughts on the things that are happening in the United States, you could go to our Twitter at Dave Simon MMA or at Danny Brook or at Freddie MMA. You can go check out our Twitter feeds and see our political opinions if you want. But AJ, we are not going into the political side of it. I've been told by the producers of Ringside Report to not talk about these matters because we may get demonetized on YouTube because of it. It's not my rules. It's the rules of YouTube.
It's all right.
And,
So let me
Ringside
talk about
Report.
Dana White.
By the way, hit us up on that super chat because we are not demonetized. And, support the Ringside Report Network. We're going to do a UFC 250 watch-along on Saturday night. Get ready. We're going to watch a pay-per-view with you, 10 p.m. Eastern this Saturday night. UFC 250 watch-along. More info, ringsidereport.net. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. And when you subscribe, click the bell. Ding. So you get notifications every time that we are on, like we will be on. All three of us, the boys, with you. Date night, Saturday night. UFC 250, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the YouTube channel. Manscaped, baby. It's date night with a little Manscaped action. And I'm going to tell you, of course, Manscaped, a great sponsor of the show. I'm going to tell you a little bit later on about how much I love Manscaped. A personal story for
up and close.
A personal story from Dave Simon about a Manscaped.
Ooh. Awesome, Dave. Now let me get back to Dana.
Hey, I want to give a shout out. Shout out to
Ooh.
Patrick C. Hamilton for supporting the Ringside Report Network, my main man out in Regina, Saskatchewan. We love you out there. Thank you, Patrick. He says, you are amazing. You are amazing, Patrick. We appreciate your support. We appreciate everybody watching the Ringside Report Network, everybody hitting us up on that super chat. We can't wait to do the UFC 250 watch-along with you on Saturday. Very exciting times. We'll preview the card in a little bit. We're talking about Jon Jones here. I'm hyped up here, guys. I don't know if it's the coffee. I don't know if it's the Manscaped, but I am excited.
It's the ball lotion, man. It's giving you that extra energy.
I think it's the ball deodorant, brother. My God. I tried that stuff.
Manscaped works, man. It's awesome product.
All right.
But I'm
Speaking of Manscaped, let's look at Dana White and his bald head, no?
Yeah. Can I say something about Dana?
All right. What?
I was going to say, first of all, Dana, you know what he is? He's kind of like Dave sometimes when he flips and flops with his predictions. So Dana, what he does is he says one thing, and then all of a sudden he jumps to another network and he says a completely different thing. On the other network, he's saying, you know what? Jon Jones is a partner. Just like McGregor is a partner. They are partners. They're not just fighters with the UFC. They are partners of the UFC. Why? Because they are the big money makers with the pay-per-views, and with them, they're partners. So I understand Jones. He wanted his $30 million like Wilder. I totally understand that. But the difference is that there's pay-per-view percentages that are being paid out. We got to know what that is, because I can assure you this. Dana's words were, believe me, Jones wants to be with the UFC because it's very lucrative for him to be a partner. So let's hear what he says.
All right.
Really good
Am I on
talk,
the right
positive
road?
talk, not.
Yeah, they had a good talk. They had a good talk yesterday. Those guys are tight. Jon Jones and I have always had this, you know. I'm always looking at what Jon Jones could have been, you know. He could have been the LeBron of the sport. He could have been literally that big. You know, the stuff that he's been through to show up and think he, you know, basically demand $15 million or $20 million or $30 million. It's crazy. So he can do whatever he wants to do. He can sit out. He can fight. He can whatever. You know how this works. You guys know how I am. Jon Jones can say whatever he wants publicly. It's his God-given right here in America. He can say whatever he wants. And when he's ready to come back and fight, he can.
How is it crazy for Jon Jones to want $15 million for a fight at this point in his career? I don't understand how the president of the UFC can go out publicly and say that it's crazy for Jon Jones to want $15 million in the same breath that he's like, he could have been the LeBron James of the sport. He's that good. There's so much that he could have done. Meanwhile, he's been an undefeated world champion for like 10 years at this point, dominating everybody that steps into the cage with him. And Dana White thinks it's crazy for him to make $15 million for a fight. How much did Conor make for his last fight? How much did Conor make for his last fight? Seriously. And look at the accomplishments of Conor McGregor. And I understand he's a big draw, but so is Jon Jones. And Jon Jones has actually defended a championship, been in the UFC for nearly a decade, has been, a legit world champion, whereas Conor McGregor has kind of danced around and acted a fool and made millions and millions and millions of dollars, and Dana White never seems to have a problem with that. How do you say it's crazy for Jon Jones to want $15 million for a fight? It's like he's the greatest ever. $15 million doesn't seem like a stretch for him. It seems a little low considering what the UFC's probably making and what professional athletes are making across the board. Fred, am I wrong? Fred, tell me why I'm wrong.
Okay. I think Jon Jones should be making a lot of money. Exactly how much, I don't know. I want him to make a whole hell lot of money. With that said, if you go on Bloody Elbow, they have a nice breakdown because let's not forget this company is public like now. You know, all these numbers they're out there. So they broke down.
They're not a public company. Hang on, they're not a public company.
Well,
EMG is.
the numbers,
they're a private. No, they're a private company. They're not public.
Private. Okay, sorry, but their access to the numbers. I'm not sure how they get access to the numbers, but anyways, they say that
what they give
Jon
them.
Jones
It's what they give them. It's UFC propaganda. Who knows if it's real?
I think it's based on different court case and all that. But anyways,
okay.
They estimate that Jon Jones made his highest payday was $8 million for a fight. So if that's accurate, $15 million is a pretty big jump, man. It's almost twice as much. So if his highest payday was $8 million, going up to 15 in this economy right now, it's a high jump.
Yeah, but Freddie.
Now with that said, if
I
he
don't
asked
know,
that
man.
for one
to fight Francis Ngannou at heavyweight.
If it's for one fight, I would agree. But if he wants that for his future contract, where all his next fights have to be this minimum, I don't know. I could understand the UFC not wanting to renegotiate this.
But wait, I'm confused here. Is the $8 million the draw money? Is that what he's getting, or is that part of the pay-per-view? Is that part of the pay-per-view?
Pay-per-view, everything. His highest payday was $8.2 million. They estimate.
Look, if that's part of the pay-per-view numbers,
Chael Sonnen and against Gustafsson.
Okay, but let's look at it.
Against Cormier, they say.
Yeah, he should make more. He should be making more. How much is the UFC making? Think about this. Say they sell 700,000 pay-per-views, right? At $60 a piece. How much is that? I mean, Fred, you're the mathematician on this show. Let's see here.
I'm gonna listen to the beginning.
Okay.
How many?
I'm gonna say they sell 700,000 pay-per-views at $60 a pay-per-view. That on pay-per-views alone. Now, of course, they don't get to keep all the money of the pay-per-view. The distributor, I think, keeps half, right? But that on pay-per-views alone is $42 million. Okay? That's not on the gate. That's not on anything. It's pay-per-views alone. Now, say take half of that away for whatever cost distributors. It's still $21 million. Now, you're telling me. Now, I understand you got to pay other people. Everybody's got to get paid. But if you're making, say, after taxes, after everything, $20 million off one single pay-per-view, off just the sales of that pay-per-view, which is possible, right? And that's being nice. I mean, I put it at $42 million, but I'm taking away $22 million for costs and whatever. Say you're making $20 million. Your total salary of the rest of the card, I mean, what is it? It's not that much. You could afford to give Jon Jones $12 million, $13 million. And that's at 700,000 pay-per-views. You do Francis Ngannou versus Jon Jones, you sell 1 million pay-per-views. You're telling me you can't afford to give him $15 million? That's bullshit. I call bullshit on that. I call greedy promoters who want to keep the money, want to make a profit. You're trying to make fucking Ari Emanuel more of a billionaire to let him do whatever creepy shit he does. I just saw the Epstein documentary, so I'm not in favor of creepy old guys with a ton of money, all right? I'm just like, I don't know, man. Seems like a lot of money. You can buy and when you have that much money and you can buy and sell people like their property, you know? Like when pocket change for them is life-changing money, for us, it's a fucking weird power dynamic, right? So I find it odd that Jon Jones can't make, $12 to $15 million for a fight if he's fighting Francis Ngannou, where they might be able to sell 900 to 1.2 million pay-per-views. Just on pay-per-views alone. Forget a live gate that may or may not exist. But I think they can afford to pay Jon Jones what he's worth, but they refuse to because they are greedy fucking promoters.
Look, you actually said something very interesting. Right now, obviously, there's no live gate. But if you look at Conor, like his average live gate is around $11 million. So what I'm trying to say is these fighters might have to start negotiating the live gate. What I would do is that 50%, like a Jon Jones takes 50% of a live gate, it starts becoming a little bit more interesting. Conor has $11 million at a live gate. So you know what? The live gate compared to the pay-per-view numbers are nothing. The fighter should be getting a percentage of that live gate because they're the ones drawing in those fans.
Right, but like you said, it's nothing. It's the pay-per-view. That's the cash cow, man. Forget the live gate. The pay-per-view money is where it is.
You get a part of it.
Averages work.
Yeah, for sure, but it doesn't mean that they all get that, Conor.
And make that the average, okay?
Right.
No, what I'm saying is, you're right. But I'm saying Conor on average is around 11 million. I'm sure Jon Jones brings in those. He's probably bringing about close to those numbers, let's be honest. So why aren't they getting something out of that live gate when that becomes a reality again?
I hurt myself every time I walk out there and take a punch to the head and not feel my pay is worth it anymore. I mean, he's taken so many shots to the head, Jon Jones, that he can't even tweet a coherent sentence. And
sure
not
it's about
feel
shots to the head or shots.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But what he's saying there is he hurts himself every time he walks out there and he takes punches to the head and he doesn't feel like his pay is worth it anymore.
He's right. He's right.
And that's why he's walking away from the sport, because the UFC won't give him what he's worth. That's why GSP doesn't fight anymore. That's why so many, man. That's why the Diaz brothers don't fight anymore. And look, there's another one. Guess what? Everybody's favorite bad motherfucker is done too. There's George Masvidal retweeting Jon Jones. And this is the Jon Jones tweet where he's talking about Dana White, talking all that big stuff about not caring, put your money where your mouth is, and release me from my contract. Jon Jones asking for his release. George Masvidal retweets, quote retweets, says, revolution, hashtag the resurrection.
Ooh,
so George Masvidal is not happy, and then Masvidal followed up with this, which is also pretty good. Shouldn't be this hard to get a deal done. Hashtag fuckery. So Masvidal sitting on the shelf. I mean, How long has Dana White said Kamaru Usman, George Masvidal is the fight to make? And for how long have they been talking about trying to get the deal done, but this guy or that guy is a problem and we can't figure it out and da-da-da-da-da. Meanwhile, George Masvidal fought Nate Diaz in one of the biggest pay-per-views ever in the UFC. They created a fucking championship for it. And he hasn't fought since. Supposed to fight for the title. They can't get a deal done. Hashtag fuckery, according to Masvidal. Right? And now, the Diaz brothers, their deal. GSP, Jon Jones, Conor McGregor sometimes. All these guys can't get a deal done with the UFC. And what do these guys have in common? Why is it that they can't get deals done with the UFC? It's because they've become bigger than the UFC, and the UFC can't fucking handle them anymore. The UFC can't give them what they want to give them and say, go, be happy and fuck off. Go fight for us for $2 million and act like you're happy to be here. Because when you give them $2 million, $2 million, $2 million, then they have $6 million, and then they're chilling, they don't want to go and fight for the peanuts that you were given. They want more. And they want a fair deal because they're in a comfortable place where they don't have to fight to eat. They don't have to fight to eat anymore. They've got money. So if you want to see them fight, well, you got to pay for it. You got to pay for the privilege to watch a millionaire step into a cage and risk his life. How many millionaires out there are willing to do that? Right? You become a millionaire. You think if I was a millionaire, I would fucking sit on my ass and never do anything ever again. Okay? So keep hitting us up on that super chat because goddamn, I want that life. And once that happens, there'll be no more show. So maybe don't support us. I don't know. But
just give us $999,000.
Yeah, exactly. If I was like a multi-thousandaire, I'd be happy. Right now, I'm like 100-aire. You know what I mean? We're 100-aires. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we spend a couple $100, we're not gonna feel it. If we spend a couple $1,000, we notice, right? We notice.
You know what?
Dana White doesn't fucking notice. Jon Jones doesn't fucking notice, and that's why you got to pay Jon Jones to fight. You get 100-aires and 1,000-aires. You could get them to fight for millions of dollars. But then when you start talking about millionaires like Jon Jones or George St. Pierre or Conor McGregor, well, you got to make it worth their while to get out of bed and go and fight for you. You got to start paying them upwards of $10 million. It doesn't seem like a big ask. You got to pay basketball players way more to fucking dribble a basketball and shoot it into a net. There's no fucking brain damage there. Your life isn't in jeopardy. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. It's not that complicated.
No.
I know. It's a different thing, Fred, and the money's different, and I understand. But goddamn, it's not that far off.
I'm going to do a 180 and say you're right, because right now I have an article in front of me that tells me that UFC 249 sold over about 700,000 pay-per-views, which honestly is a higher number than I expected, because my argument has been that right now the economy is bad and it's not a time to renegotiate anything. But if Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje, which was a pay-per-view that was put up pretty much last minute, is able to sell 700,000 pay-per-views, well, yeah, okay. So then that means that, there's still some revenues coming in and all that. So, look, I want to see Jon Jones. I understand he wants to get paid. At the same time, I understand the UFC wanting to hold their fighters like a little bit in control. That's how the UFC controls the business. It's by not giving in to all these demands and all that. So I hope Jon Jones and the UFC gets a resolution. And the more I listen to you, I'm starting to agree. Like the UFC should definitely renegotiate Jon Jones's deal.
Tony Ferguson main evented UFC 249, a pay-per-view that cost about $50-$60, right? Whether you're in Canada or the States, I think it's a different price, but roughly $60, 65. Right? He main evented UFC 249, a pay-per-view that sold 700,000, which incidentally was the number I gave. So we know UFC made $42 million in pay-per-view. Take away whatever, $20 million. Tony Ferguson main evented that shit. He was a top earning fighter on the card. How much do you think he made? $500,000. He made $500,000 on a card that generated on pay-per-view alone $42 million. You get $500,000. What's a percent on that? It's like a nothing. It's nothing. It's unbelievable. And that's how the UFC does business. So the next time you say, oh, well, these guys are asking for too much, check out how much the UFC's actually making. They're making enough money to pay these guys better. And they choose not to. And then they tell you that the fighter is the problem. Well, I've seen this fucking too long. I've been watching this sport for too long and seen too many fighters aged out, iced out of their UFC contracts because the UFC wouldn't give them what they wanted. George St. Pierre wanted out. He wanted to get released. UFC wouldn't release him, and that's what's happening to Jon Jones. Jon Jones is asking for his release. You think the UFC is going to give it to him? Hell no. They will let him sit on the shelf. They will let him sit at home and age out of his prime and not give him any money. They won't give him a dime. And the only way that Jon Jones will be able to make money as a professional fighter will be as if he bows down to the UFC and gives in to whatever the fuck they decide to give him. And the UFC hopes that, hey, Jon Jones will run out of money. Jon Jones will run out of time. Fuck Jon Jones. Jon Jones will come crawling back when he needs the cash. And then we'll stick him in there with Ngannou when he's fucking 36 and he'll get his ass kicked and we'll laugh. And Jon Jones will make $500,000. He'll make $500,000 for that fight. Like, that's the fucking evil of the UFC, man. That's how their fucking business operates. I'm not saying this is the evil that they're thinking, but the way I see it as an MMA observer, the way I see the sport, the way I see, the heroes of MMA, some of the greatest fighters of all, out of the sport because they asked for too much, according to Dana, and they didn't want to fight, and they're retired, and they're crazy. Nick Diaz is crazy. He doesn't want to fight. Hey, Nick, you want to fight? Yeah. You remember that interview that Dana did? Where Dana's doing an interview with, like, Megan O'Leary, and Nate Diaz walks by, and Megan's like, hey, Nate, when are we going to see you fight? And he's like, soon, I'm coming back. And then they go to Dana, so Dana, when's Nate coming back? He's not coming back. He doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, I mean, you caught him in the lie right there. It was right there in front of your face. Nate Diaz says, I want to fight. And then Dana White, as soon as Nate walks away, Nate doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight
Dave,
for the bullshit money that you're offering, motherfucker, because you said that he didn't move the needle, which is fucking ridiculous. Nate Diaz is a massive star in the sport, and Dana White's quote on Nate Diaz was, he doesn't move the needle, he's not worth the money. He said that about Nate Diaz. It's fucking ridiculous, man. They don't treat their stars like stars. They don't.
You know what the problem is, Dave, and you're absolutely right. And we've been saying this for the longest time. Fighters need to make more money. All the way from, like, the guys that are coming in for their first fight, where I think Connor's first fight, he made about $5,000 or $7,000, which is ridiculous. The only way he was really allowed to make money is when he went over to boxing and he fought Mayweather, and he made his close to $100 million to $200 million. That being said, we've been saying it for the longest time, and fighters have been saying it for the longest time. Maybe there needs to be, and I don't want to say this because we might get like some heat, but maybe like a fighters union, something that can represent fighters the way they're supposed to be. And we're looking at a case like Tim Sylvia that I saw last week, where he's putting on a picture begging for money, who has to set up a GoFundMe page because of an injury that he received in the UFC where there's screws coming out of his arms. If you don't believe me, go take a look at it on Twitter or whatever, and you'll see that pic. And it doesn't make sense. This was a former UFC champion. Sure, he just went down the ranks. There's no doubt about it. But holy shit, a GoFundMe page for a guy at one point that was a champion. Wow.
And this guy, he suffered the injury in the octagon, right? When he broke his arm against Frank Mir. They put screws in his arm. The screws are coming out of his arm now, right? And he's like, well, I can't afford the surgery to fix it. And he asked the UFC, and they're like, no. But it happened in there. I mean, the injury initially happened in their octagon. That is, it's fucked up, man. And that's, how the UFC operates.
You know what?
And that's what they're doing again here with Jon Jones. It just pisses me off, man. It just always happens with the UFC, and they're allowed to go on and have business as usual and act like nothing happened, and nobody fights them on it. Nobody questions it. The fans just say, oh, yeah, whatever. Fuck Jon Jones. Jon Jones, he's an asshole. Is he, though? I mean, he might be, but in this instance, he's not. He's right.
Look,
and guys like Jon Jones and George St. Pierre and maybe the Diaz brothers and whoever else, if they did get together, like if Jon Jones, Conor McGregor, GSP, and Khabib decided, fuck it, we're not fighting until we set up some sort of fighters association, they could do it, but they probably won't. Look, they could do like guys like that have the power. I just want to shout out Antoinette for supporting the channel on the super chat. Thank you, Antoinette. She says Jones should get paid. Sad he will leave. She says, yes, Dave, it is BS, and they are great. Pay up. And I agree. Thank you, Antoinette. She's right on. She knows.
Dave, they will not leave. That's the thing. You know that, I know that, and Jon Jones knows that. They're not going to leave. But they're in the right to demand more money. And like I said, if you look at boxing, you look at the old days of boxing with Don King, you look at Bob Arum now, and all the rest, they themselves as promoters are really not powerhouses at all. Don King, man, I don't know if he's still alive or whatnot, but he just disappeared. The problem is that boxers took the initiative in their own hands. You look at guys like Floyd Mayweather that started his own promotion company. The difference is that all the money that they put in is their own personal money into promotions. They get back the biggest percentage from the pay-per-views and from the live gates. So that's why fighters are making $30-40 million per fight, because they're self-promoting. And you know what the worst thing that the UFC can happen is that top name fighters, like let's just say hypothetically, like a George St. Pierre or Anderson Silva, you got like your Jones, and then you even got your McGregor saying, you know what, Dana, fuck your contract, sue the shit out of us, but we're going to set up our own promotion. And that can end the
But they can't do that, man. That's the problem. Here's the problem with that scenario. They can't do that. That's it. They're stuck. Exactly. They're stuck contractually with the UFC. It's one-sided. The UFC can release them if they choose, but they can't walk away from their contract. They are stuck. Randy Couture tried to fight it back in the day. He wasn't able to, and the contracts are still the same. If you sign a contract with the UFC, you are stuck with the UFC. The only way is to fight out your contract, and then you're done, right? But the UFC has matching clauses. Like, if they want to, they can keep you around, and that's what happens. And these guys, they become huge stars in the UFC. All the top competition, all the big fights are in the UFC, so it's hard to leave the UFC. Like, if Jon Jones were to leave the UFC, who does he fight? If GSP decides, well, I'm leaving the UFC, and somehow they release him from his contract, if Jon Jones got released, say he got what he wanted, they released him, he could probably make money, but there's not a lot of good fights out there for Jon Jones at light heavyweight or heavyweight outside of the UFC. Who does he fight? Take a pick, a fight that makes sense right now for Jon Jones. I don't know one. I couldn't come up with one, and that's not good.
If he goes to heavyweight, doesn't Bellator have who does Jon Jones versus Fedor?
Oh, that's a freak show, Fred. Okay, yeah. And Fedor crossed my mind, but I didn't even throw it out there because that's not a legitimate fight, right? Give me a legit box office fight for Jon Jones outside of the UFC.
There isn't. But the thing also is the UFC.
And there's plenty in the UFC, right? Well, Brock, maybe. I mean, if Jon Jones and Brock Lesnar could get together, if Jon Jones could get free, maybe. But even Brock, I think he signed like a 2-fight deal when he fought Mark Hunt, so if he wants to fight, it has to be in the UFC too. They even got Brock. Like, I think Brock's stuck in a UFC deal too. He couldn't even go out and start his own thing.
The UFC's way to operate is a little bit like the NFL, where individuals are not that important. It's more about like the brand. Well, that's their vision. I think superstars are important and the UFC should promote them more, but the UFC has always been more about like, we promote the brand, which is the UFC, because the fighters, they're going to change over time. So like that's how they see it. I wish they didn't. I agree with you. I wish like they would like make more stars and things like that. But right now, I think that's not Dana's way of going with business. So let's continue to call him out on it, and hopefully it changes.
Well, when you keep promoting the UFC brand over the stars, you have fewer stars and more events with no fucking stars on it. Look at the pay-per-view this weekend, man. It sucks. The main event is a co-main event at best. Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter of all time. Who is Felicia Spencer?
Canada, man.
Crickets.
Montreal.
Yeah, look, I would love for her to win. Hey, I love Canada, and it would be awesome, but let's be honest. I mean, what are the odds here? They're fucking not good.
Minus 650. That's what the odds are. So that's the problem. You're talking like a long shot, man. The horse with 3 legs. The problem is that you're right.
Biggest long shot on the card. Biggest long shot on the card. So according to the odds makers, it is the fucking biggest mismatch on the whole thing, and it's the main event between the world champion and some fighter that most people have never heard of, and it's supposed to be the main event of the only pay-per-view the UFC is putting on in June. That's what happens when you don't put on star quality, big box office fights. That's what happens when you tell your stars to fuck off. You put on weak-ass pay-per-views with a bunch of people you never ever heard of, and nobody buys the thing. Nobody cares about the sport. It sucks.
Well, Dave, look,
this won't sell 700,000.
Hell no. This will sell maybe 200,000. Maybe.
No,
if they're lucky.
I think it'll be a lot better than that.
Maybe not.
It'll be a lot better than that.
Oh, AJ, bet.
Come on, guys.
Bet. This will sell 200 or under. Bet.
No. I'm not going to bet because you still owe me like bagels. So I'm waiting for those bagels. Johnny keeps reminding me, don't forget to remind Dave about the bagels. And I'm like, yes, I know.
Thanks, Johnny.
Bagels and cream cheese. Johnny's always looking out for my back. He's always like, AJ, don't forget to tell Dave about the bagels. But I'm not going to bet this one because I'm pretty confident it'll be above 300,000. But the thing is, yes, I think it's a good paper card per se because there's guys like O'Malley that's in there and whatnot that I want to see. You know, so I know, Dave. But the thing is that the UFC, what they're banking
there's a
on
lack
is
of
this.
a big
This
fight.
is what, listen,
that's the problem.
Wait. Let me just hear me out. Hear me out on this. What they're banking on is the next wave of future stars to oversee the stars that are going to be complaining today. And that's what happened. If we look at it as far back as like BJ Penn and all the rest, you know, Matt Hughes days, you know, there at one point, these guys are the biggest stars around. But eventually, BJ Penn was like released from the UFC for things outside of the ring. What I'm saying is that the UFC is building their future stars because at one point, they know that Jones is either going to lose, and they hope he's going to lose so that talks can end and they don't have to pay him what he wants. That's the thing. The UFC knows that they're banking on those future stars, and that's why they're putting a card like this. And I'm pretty sure, man, we're going to start hearing these names more and more, bigger and bigger. And that's, man, a guy like Conor is going to be a little bit hard to release, but a guy like Conor has the money, like we were talking about, fighting UFC contracts. If you talk to any LA lawyer, he'll be like this. Contracts are meant to be broken.
Come on, AJ. It's been worked through. Yeah, you're talking out of your ass, man. These contracts aren't getting broken. These contracts aren't getting broken. These guys are
Ricardo
stuck.
Mayorga.
Well, listen, they don't have the money.
Ricardo Mayorga was supposed to fight in MMA, and the night of the fight, it got a court injunction, and he didn't fight because he had a boxing contract, so he couldn't just get out of his contract. Like
Randy
that's not
Couture,
how it works, especially in the U.S.
Randy Couture was supposed to fight Fedor Emelianenko. They did a press conference. They set it up, but the UFC filed a court injunction that said Randy Couture was still their heavyweight champion, still signed to their promotion, and he wasn't able to fight, and he fought it and lost, and eventually came back and fought in the UFC. It's happened before. It doesn't work. You can't get out of these contracts. I mean, you could try. GSP did an interview saying, I have terminated my contract with the UFC. a certain amount of time has passed where they haven't offered me a fight, right? Because in the contract, if the UFC doesn't offer you a fight after 6 months, they're in breach of contract and you have the right to terminate that contract. The only problem is the UFC offered George fights. They were just ridiculous fights that George would never, ever take, right? So as long as the UFC keeps saying, hey, Jon Jones, do you want to fight Jan Blachowicz for $250,000? Which he's like, well, no. Well, they could keep Jon Jones under contract forever. Okay, AJ, those are the facts. That's how it actually works with the UFC contract. All right? That's how it works.
Speechless.
Just so you know.
Speechless.
Look, man.
Yeah, he's got nothing to say because I just destroyed his argument with facts, AJ.
Listen, man, but money talks in the end, and they don't have the money to really push it to levels where they can really push the UFC. Because a guy like Randy Couture made a lot of money, but he doesn't have the money really to go the distance. Where a guy like Conor McGregor has the money to push it further, and that's why guys at big level sports are
Look,
listen,
AJ, Conor also retired over Twitter when he couldn't get a deal done, the deal that he wanted with the UFC. When he couldn't get what he wanted, he retired. He said, "Oh, I'm done with the sport. Bye, see ya." Then he fought Donald Cerrone. Then he fought Donald Cerrone. He didn't get what he wanted. That's not how it works.
Listen, he got pay-per-view points that most people don't get, so something was worked out there because all parties were happy. That's what I want to know, and that's why Jon Jones is probably fighting, because he wants more pay-per-view points, and I don't blame him. If he gets those points, he'll get the $20-30 million. Listen, man,
he should be guaranteed that type of money. He should be guaranteed that type of money. He's Jon fucking Jones.
Listen, man, there's money to be made when they do reruns and they do all kinds of stuff and promotions. There's money always being generated. And you know what? Look,
like,
it's not easy.
Here's my thing with Dana White. Dana White is like, well, Jon Jones, all those problems outside of the cage, so, screw Jon Jones. Here's the problem with that. You still promote him. You still sell pay-per-views with him in the main event, even though you said that you would never, ever main event a pay-per-view with Jon Jones again. Right? Remember when Dana White said that? Jon Jones will never main event a UFC pay-per-view again. You're bullshit, Dana. After you said that, he's main evented every pay-per-view he's been on. Dana is a fucking liar. That's what people don't understand. And I don't fault him for lying. I have followed Vince McMahon's career so closely, and I understand what a promoter has to do and the evil things that sometimes you're forced to do because of the good of the promotion. I don't fault Dana White, the man, for being a fucking liar. I just want it to be public record and clear to everyone that follows MMA and the UFC that you cannot trust a single word that comes out of Dana White's mouth because he is a fucking liar. Right? He lies all the time. And he's lying now.
Listen, think about it. Let's think about way back when he said that women will never be fighting in the UFC. He said that straight up. Yeah. And you know what? I don't think it was that long after, and all of a sudden, bam, it's a different story.
He said Jon Jones would never main event a UFC pay-per-view. He wants to say all these bad things about Jon Jones, yet he still wants to promote and profit off of Jon Jones. If he really thinks Jon Jones is such a bad guy, then fucking release him from the contract. Don't have him in the UFC. If Dana's opinion of Jon Jones is so poor, if what Jon Jones has done in his past, the DUIs and all the bullshit that he has done that honestly disgusts me, well then fucking release him, Dana. Go ahead. If you think Jon Jones is of such poor character, why would you want him as a champion representing your company? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he makes a lot of money for the UFC, but you don't want to give him any of it. It's fucking bullshit, man. It's total hypocrisy from Dana White once again. Call him on his bullshit.
Look, you know what he said? This was his quote. He goes, you know what? It's just like a relationship. These fighters are like a relationship. Eventually, you're going to get into an argument. Things are going to be so sour and whatnot. They're partners. They're like your partner. So what's going to happen is they're going to calm down. It's going to take a little bit of time, and then Jones is going to come right back to where he left off. Yeah. And that's how Dana looks at things.
It is like a relationship, AJ. And Dana is, the guy who does the fucking, and the fighters are always the one that get fucked. Right? Just like in your relationship. You got a bald-headed man behind you, and he's like, I'm kidding, I'm joking, I'm sorry.
Well, if he
Manscaped.com.
if he uses Manscaped, then he'll be
right.
okay.
Let me tell you about our friends over at Manscaped.com. My goodness. The Manscaped 3.0 razor is tremendous. Fred, have you tried your razor out yet?
I played with it, but no, I need to do a full scaping.
All right, well, let me tell you. I use this thing today. All right? And it was pretty awesome. You know, I'm not big into the scaping, you know. It's not something that I do regularly. But I thought, hey guys, this is for the show. So I took one for the team, and I was like, Manscaped sent us all these cool products, and the Manscaped 3.0 razor is so nice. It's like this sleek little black design. It's got a light at the end of it, so you can see where you're going in those dark crevices, right? And I went to town, baby. I was taking stuff off. There was hair flying around. And it looks good, man. I mean, I wish I could show you how it all looks. It looks really good.
Show it, Dave.
And I can't show it on YouTube. That's another thing that'll get us demonetized. If you want, I'll send you a picture of my balls later, AJ. Okay, that's private. I'll just send you the weekly pic that I send to the Ringside Report crew. The weekly Dave ball pic that I always send. You'll get it soon. Every Friday morning, you get it in your inbox. Check your inbox tomorrow, brother. So, it's really good. What I liked about this razor was that it's electric, it's cordless, which is beautiful, you know? Yeah, it's handheld, and it's nice. It fits in the hand really nicely. Like, it's really easy to use, and it's not that severe where at any point I felt like, oh, I was going to clip my skin or nick myself or get into any kind of trouble. And when you're in that area, you know, you feel, you know, something's buzzing in that area. It could be a little scary, you know? But I was not scared at all. I was very comfortable with the thing. I got, you know, all sorts of different spots that I've never got before, but I've been meaning to get to. I just didn't have the right tools. But now with Manscaped, I have the right tools. Manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20 for 20% off plus free shipping on all your Manscaped orders. And I will tell you, you need to get yourself a Manscaped razor. Get yourself the 2.0 or the 3.0. I think the 2.0 is available in Canada. 3.0, not yet, but it will be soon. Go to manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20, get 20% off your order and free shipping. I love this thing, and I am now a manscaper. Like I said, I wasn't going to do this regularly. It might change, guys. I think it might change. I like the way I feel like a different man. I feel new. I feel fresh. I got a seal of approval from you know, the one that's most important when it comes to the scaping, if you know what I mean. Seal of approval. She liked it.
Thumbs up.
She said it was a good look. Oh, yeah. She thought it looked great. She said it made my penis look very obvious. It's like, whoa, there it is, penis. You know, it's not hidden in the trees anymore. It's right there. It's in your face. It's like, yo, what's up? You know? So, yeah, it was really, it was quite something. And then I even tried, I said, look, guys, we're going to go hard. I'm wearing the Manscaped t-shirt. Your balls will thank you. So I went, so I start shaving, you know, I'm shaving the stuff. I'm over the toilet, right? So I could get the pubes in the toilet. I don't know what you guys' strategy is with your pubes. See, you guys, you manscape more. Last time we talked about this, I got the feeling that you guys shaved your balls like down to the bone. I don't want to do that. I want a little bit of hair, right? I don't want to be totally shaved, clean, smooth like a baby. I feel like that looks a little bit too young for my liking. I like to be a little bit more manly. I like to have a little bit of pubage, you know, not too much, right?
Like
and that's why you got
like
the
Manscaped.
What?
George
Yeah,
Clooney
a
look.
little stubble, baby. Yeah, maybe a little. I don't know, but you know, a little
But
bit
it shouldn't
going
be
on.
about what you like. It should be about what she likes.
Well, she was.
Freddie, you're
No,
right.
no. I disagree. You got to do things for you, okay? I mean, yes, AJ. I'm you got to do things. Well, also for her as well, right? For your partner, but for you as well. You got to feel comfortable with how you look, and Manscaped will make you feel comfortable with how you look. And I feel fantastic. I feel like a new man. I'm a Manscaped
Bravo.
man. I feel fantastic. I want to show you guys my dick and balls right now so you can see the majesty. They're looking just fantastic right now. They look great, and they smell good too because I said, yo, we're going. Let's go hard. I put a little of the ball deodorant on me. I didn't put too much because they say just put a little bit. So I put a little bit on, and it smelled nice. I couldn't really tell because my head and my balls are far away. And I didn't tell her to go for a smell test because I thought that was a little rude, you know. But I wanted to. I mean, I did suggest it, but she wasn't gonna do it. So I'm revealing way more on this show than I ever have before. Thank you, Manscaped. You are seeing a brand new side of Dave Simon. And AJ, I'll send you a picture later so you can see a brand new side of Dave Simon, if you know what I mean. And yeah, just great. It smells nice. You know, it was a nice, really easy to apply little creamy deodorant there. Boom, boom. Put it on your nutsack, and you're good to go. Your balls will smell great. Your balls will thank you, as Manscaped says. So manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20. You get 20% off plus free shipping. Be like me. You know, I thought that shaving your pubes was for women. Turns out it's not. It's for men as well. I don't know, man. I'm an old school gentleman. What can I say? I feel like I missed a whole generation of grooming that like I wasn't aware of. I didn't know, you know, but when you guys were talking about it the other day about the Manscaped and how excited you guys were for the products and how you use different things, I was like, wow, you guys are really into like shaving your balls. Like it's really something you guys do regularly. Maybe it's something that I felt a little bit excluded, to be honest. I didn't feel like I was part of the team as far as the ball shaving. I know Johnny North is very into shaving all the way down because he's a pro wrestler, right? So he's got no hair anywhere on his body. I was thinking about shaving my head and my eyebrows and everything and just to be like, I shaved everything. But I decided that would be a weird look. That would be a weird look. But you know, I just wanted to be cool like you guys, and this Manscaped stuff makes it so easy, and it was just a great product. It was a joy to use. I had fun. I enjoyed shaving my balls, and you will too with Manscaped. Manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20.
Wow, I'm happy to hear you had so much fun. Because, like, you know, you don't have a lot of facial hair, so for a while I was wondering maybe he doesn't need it, but hey.
No, well,
it's good for everybody.
I don't have a lot of facial hair because, as you know, my great-grandmother was Vietnamese, and I think I have the Asian, like, facial hair.
Your brother has a lot, though.
My brother has a lot. He doesn't have it. But when I grow out my beard, it looks like a beard you may see at a Chinese restaurant, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's like a Fu Manchu. I don't know.
But you know,
I'm a little bit Asian.
I told you.
I'm a little bit Asian. I have Asian blood, and like the facial hair, I can't grow like a beard. On my cheeks are baby soft. There's like nothing really. So I'm not like a super hair growth man. I don't have back hair, that's for sure. I don't have shoulder hair. I know a lot of guys have that. I got nothing really on my back or arm or upper arm or shoulder. I got underarm hair, obviously. I got a little bit of wispy hair on my forearms here, guys. But as far as like chest hair or like, I'm not a very hairy guy. I'm mostly like not that hairy. So like manscaping isn't a big thing for me because like, you know, AJ, you got a nice thick beard. I assume you got thick chest hair. I'm guessing you probably have back hair. I don't have back hair. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not something that comes into my world. So it's not like I'm shaving my body all the time to deal with the weird hairs all over the place. Because I don't have that. You know, I got Asian blood. And that's what I attribute it to. Because my dad doesn't have it, Asian blood. And he, you know, but my grandfather, who was half Vietnamese, he had like a similar facial hair thing than I did. He couldn't really grow a full beard. It was more like a Fu Manchu deal. And he was half Vietnamese. So I attribute it to the Asian blood. I'm not saying anything racist here. I'm talking about my own genetic makeup here, Fred. I know you were getting a little shaky. You can't say it, but I'm pretty sure I can because I'm a little bit Vietnamese. A little bit.
And you're Jewish, too.
You say so.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a lot of things, AJ. Unlike you, you're 100%. You're FBI. You're full-blooded Italian, baby, and I love you for it.
Yes, Italians tend to get a little hairy, and you're right, Dave. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm letting this beard grow till we're back in studio, and then I'm going to shave it with the Manscaped. I'm going up on top as well. But I wanted to tell you something. When you came on the show tonight, I'm like, man, Dave looks so clean shaven. He looks so young. Manscaped, man. Makes sense.
Manscaped.
You look so good.
Antoinette
You look
saying,
so
"Oh
good."
my God, am I listening to this? Can women use it?" And yes, women
Of
can
course.
use it. My girlfriend
Yes.
used it on her forearms. You know, sometimes ladies have a little bit of like, she's blonde, so her hair is very, you can't really see it, but they have a little bit of forearm, a little bit of hair on the forearms. She shaved off her forearm hair. I don't know if she's allowing me to reveal this, but she used my little Manscaped razor because she loved it. She's like, this is such a nice razor. I just want to use it. And she just went zit zit on her forearms. And so, yes, ladies can use it. Manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20. Yes, this show has gone totally wild. I feel like Johnny North has started this. Antoinette's like, oh, my God, look what Johnny started. And it really is Johnny North who started the talk about the pubes and everything. But because we have Manscaped.com as a sponsor and because they sent us such nice products, I felt that it was the responsible thing to do as a brand new Manscaped spokesman to really try out the products, get a hands-on experience, and give you a real, authentic story about using the Manscaped products and how much I like them, and I think you will too. This is not something that's in my ballpark. This is not something that I usually do, but I went for it. I went for it, and I'm talking about it because of my dedication to this show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Don't forget to hit up that super chat because I'm so dedicated to this show, I shave my balls for you people, okay? I shaved my balls for the show, for Manscaped, so I could do this commercial that we just did. That's the dedication. Not only do I watch hours and hours of professional wrestling every week, not only do I do hours and hours of preparation to bring this well-produced, well-oiled machine show to you every week, but I shave my balls for you. That's how much I love you, okay? I make my balls smell good for you. Manscaped.com, promo code Ringside20. Go there right now. Buy yourself some Manscaped stuff. Get 20% off. Get free shipping with our promo code Ringside20. We love you. You will love your Manscaped stuff. I love my Manscaped stuff. The package that they sent us is beautiful. Just beautiful stuff. A great product. A great sponsor. We thank them. We thank you for supporting the Ringside Report Network. Freddie, the dedication. Come on. Let's go. Next week, Freddie will talk to us in detail, like I just did, about shaving his balls.
Oh, I can't wait for my turn.
Fred, you're going to do the testimonial next week?
Well, you could go before me, AJ, because I won't have the same enthusiasm.
No, I can't.
Because it's something I've done many, many times before. But I can't wait to try their new product because it is something that is always scary. You're always scared to, like those little blades, they're going, you don't want to get your skin in there, man.
There's a light on this thing. There's a light on this thing. It's small. It's lightweight. It's easy to use. I never felt in danger. Never, ever. And Johnny North even talked about it. He said, it's so great, you could go right up to the skin of the balls. He talked about shaving his nutsack right up the skin of the balls. I was not brave enough to go right up to the skin of the balls because that's some real sensitive skin. I'm not putting anything sharp near that area. But Johnny North he's a bold man. He's got balls of steel, right? Literally. And he just went right there on his ball skin. And fucking hell, what are we talking about? So yeah, so I can't. But I just had a moment there where I'm like, I'm telling you guys a story about Johnny North shaving his balls. The story that he told me on the show. But yeah, that's how safe this razor is. You can just go right up to the skin. Details. Yeah, it's really, really detailed. And I hope that you all support Manscaped and that Manscaped appreciates the detail. And all the hands-on experience that we're really giving the product. I really do like the product, though. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Dave, first of all, you owe Johnny an apology. A big apology. Because when Johnny was on your show way back, he brought out his Manscaped. We didn't know it was a Manscaped. He brought out his ball clipper on your show, and you went loco. We actually have it on Twitter and all. You can see what happened. It was a fiasco. You went nuts. And you blasted poor Johnny. Johnny didn't know what to do, and he took that freaking clipper and put it in his pocket. He put his balls clipper in his pocket on the show. So, personally, I think you owe Johnny an apology, because now Johnny could be the future spokesperson for Manscaped.
Why?
No, you don't bring your used razor to anybody's house, man.
Thank you.
It stays into...
It was
has to
50
stay in
Shades
your
of
bathroom
Johnny,
when
man,
it's
episode.
Once it's
No, he wanted
used,
to do
you
a
keep
show
it in
and
the
tell.
bathroom. No, Fred's right.
Oh, it was
Fred's
Valentine.
right.
It was Valentine's Day. He had a point. I was supporting Johnny on this.
There's nothing romantic about Johnny North shaving his balls, okay? Nothing Valentine's Day about that, let me tell you. 50 Shades of North, indeed. My God.
Go take a look at that
Fucking hell.
episode. It was awesome, man. Awesome episode.
Yeah, I think I may have come close with this Manscaped commercial, though. I've never...
You did.
I have never, ever talked about my balls that much on the show. Let me tell you guys.
Listen.
It's never happened.
Dave, the challenge is out. To all the rest of the Manscaped sponsors, I don't think anybody's done it like you. I think you're right now a number one. We've seen it on some other shows, Freddie. You're right. Can we mention those shows?
What shows?
The shows that somebody that's sponsoring Manscaped, but
No.
Dave
Why
Simon.
would we mention other shows? Who cares about those other shows? Those other shows suck compared to Ringside Report, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Manscaped. All right, now let me tell you about our friends over at IP Vanish. I made them disappear because this is serious business, and I got to tell you about IP Vanish. IP Vanish is a VPN service. What's a VPN? Well, a VPN will hide you on the internet. Are you on the internet? Are you ever using public Wi-Fi? Stores are opening up. Malls are opening up. Coffee shops, not so much. But you might be using public Wi-Fi, and any of your devices can be easily hacked on those networks. So you need a VPN to protect yourself on all of your devices. And right now, through the month of June, IP Vanish, a proud sponsor of the Ringside Report Network, is running a permanent discount on the service, a monthly plan for just $5 a month. That's 59% off for life. This is the first time that IP Vanish has ever offered a permanent discount on the monthly plan, and they don't expect to offer this again. So there's a hard times. People are looking to hook you. People are looking to hack you, and you need to protect yourself. And this type of discount doesn't come around every day, and it may not ever come around again. When I hear a 59% off for life discount on a service, I'm signing up. It's $5 per month for life. Why wouldn't you sign up for that? And it's a great VPN. It will protect you on the internet. You won't get hacked. Those Manscaped videos, those videos you're taking of you shaving your balls, you will not get those hacked because you have a secure VPN like IP Vanish. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. vpn.ringsidereport.net. Sign up right now. Protect yourself on the internet. Do not get hacked. And mask your network identity so you can act like you're browsing the internet from any place around the world. You ever see those things where it says this video is not available in your area? Where if you had a VPN, you wouldn't see those things anymore. Wouldn't that be nice to be able to watch content that you see on Twitter? You ever see on Twitter, this video is not available in your area. If you had a VPN and you masked your IP, well, that video would be available in your area because you could be in any area you want to be with IP Vanish. vpn.ringsidereport.net. Sign up today.
Yeah, you're so good, man. You're so freaking good, man. You sold me on IP Vanish. What else? What else do you have?
I was watching the Home Shopping Network last night because my girlfriend really likes the Home Shopping Network for some reason. And I was inspired. I feel like they're really good at the pitches, and I was like watching them, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. I need my forehead. See when my forehead I do that? You see that? You see my forehead?
Mm-hmm.
See now?
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
See, there's like a wrinkle in my forehead when I raise my eyebrows. If I want to be on the shopping network, I have to shoot so much Botox into my forehead that it never moves ever, and it's like the smoothest surface on earth. Because everybody on the Home Shopping Network has the smoothest forehead you've ever seen. Every single one of them.
I've never noticed that, man, but I will take note. I will take note from now on.
You ever see somebody where their forehead doesn't move no matter if their eyebrows can't move either because they're like frozen solid, you know? Man, that's like Botox gone crazy. And you see a lot of them these days, you know? And they've got the like flat forehead. The forehead is super smooth, and some of them, they've gone so far that one of their eyes is like a little bit shut. You ever see that? And the ladies, they have their cheeks like all puffed out, right? And then they got one eye shut. They look like fucking Frankenstein, and they're doing it to beautify themselves. It's fucking crazy, some of this shit that I see on TV. I'm like, my God. And some of them on TV, it looks all right, but I've seen some people that have a lot of that shit in their face, men and women. You see them on TV. I'm talking about TV people, local TV people, whatever. You see them on TV and they look all right. Then you see them in person and you're like, whoa, that's not a human look. That's not how humans normally look, you know? It's like a little fucking walk through Westmount on a fucking nice day and you'll see what I'm talking about. AJ works in Westmount. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you're in Montreal, you got that joke. If you're not in Montreal, what can I say? It's a rich neighborhood and a lot of people have Botox, right?
They'll walk like this.
A lot of 90-year-old ladies looking a solid 65, you know?
Oh, sometimes a little younger too, Dave. A little younger.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what's going on because the face is like, yeah. How you doing?
You, this is crazy.
It's like, what the fuck? Get away from me.
It's always a smile.
Ah! Ah! What the fuck is that?
Oh my god.
Oh, we should talk about MMA here, guys. What the fuck, eh?
Oh yeah, I forgot. It's an MMA show, man. What the hell?
I know.
You didn't talk about Stitcher, Dave. You didn't talk about Stitcher.
Okay, sorry.
You need to
Stitcher
talk
Premium.
about Stitcher.
You're right.
Our poor fans are listening to all this, but you know what? It's important news. Stitcher, are you going to get rid of us?
Listen, guys, we'll do our UFC 250 preview. I also want to tell you guys, first of all, Gilbert Burns, okay? We'll talk about Stitcher in a second. Gilbert Burns dominates Tyron Woodley last Saturday night. Completely dominates him, beats him down, 5-round decision. He was the underdog in that fight. I saw so many experts before that fight picking Tyron Woodley. All three of us picked Gilbert Burns to win. We all saw that shit coming. I was not surprised at all. Tyron Woodley's 38 years old. He just got handled by Kamaru Usman. He wasn't in that fight, guys. He wasn't in that fight. Gilbert Burns.
He was.
No, he was not in the Usman. The Usman fight, Woodley got handled just like he got handled by Gilbert Burns, right? If you watched the Woodley-Usman fight, you could tell that Woodley wasn't himself in that one. Don't tell me that after that fight he's going to be better. And then after that fight, I was more impressed with Gilbert Burns, right? I mean, Woodley, hey, he's 38. He's an ex-champion. That's the sport. You start nearing 40, and you're not going to be as effective as when you were in your early 30s. It's just the way sports are. But Gilbert Burns, a younger man, on the come-up, on a win streak, knocked out Damian Maia. Handled Damian Maia with ease. Damian Maia's no joke. Gilbert Burns, boom, knocked him out. Smashed him. Gilbert Burns, legit jiu-jitsu black belt. With,
no, not just legit. World champion.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, legit, like world-class legit, right? Like creme de la creme jiu-jitsu type of guy, right? And now he's got hands. That's a dangerous fighter. 33 years old. You're on a 4-fight win streak. You just knocked out Damian Maia, one of the best welterweights in the history of the sport, one of the best middleweights in the history of the sport, right? You knock him out, and we already know that you've got legit jiu-jitsu behind you. You're serious, right? Gilbert Burns, we could tell he was serious. We watched him in Quintet Ultra, and we could tell he was serious then when he wrestled Sakuraba, right? Remember that? AJ and I watched that till like 3 in the morning on UFC Fight Pass. How many of these MMA UFC experts telling you to pick Tyron Woodley watch Quintet Ultra? Not too fucking many. But we actually live this thing. We actually live and breathe combat sports. That's our life. We don't give a shit about soccer or football or basketball or any of that bullshit. We don't care. We don't care. I'm not saying that to dismiss people that like other sports. People are fine to have other interests. I just want everybody to know that when you come to us, you're coming to 3 guys that live and breathe combat sports all day, every fucking day. We don't take a day off. We don't take a breath. This isn't a chore for us. This is what we love to do. We're doing this whether you guys are watching or not because this is our life. A lot of these guys out there that are telling you about MMA, that are pretending to know, this isn't their life. This is their job. This is not our job. This is our life. If this was our job, we'd be in the street. We all have other jobs. This is our life. This is what we love to do. And one day, with the support of the Ringside Report Network, with Manscaped, with Stitcher Premium, with IP Vanish, with your help on the Super Chat, this will be our full-time job, and then we can really give you content. You think we're giving you content now? Just wait. We got big plans, right? So, I mean, if I could tell you guys some of the things we have planned, you wouldn't believe me. Some of the shit that I have cooking right now as far as combat sports, mixed martial arts, professional wrestling, some of the shit we have right now on the back burner that's coming in the next year or two, you wouldn't believe what's happening, okay? We're in this shit for the long haul, and we live and breathe this shit. So when we tell you Gilbert Burns is going to beat Tyron Woodley, when all three of us tell you Gilbert Burns is going to beat Tyron Woodley, take that shit to the bank. Because he fucking did it. Because we live and breathe this shit. This is all we do. This is all we love. And it's okay. I like baseball. I'm a baseball fan, not like I'm an MMA fan. I like to watch the odd World Cup soccer match, not like I watch pro wrestling. It's not the same. It's not my life. It's a leisure. Wrestling and MMA for me is life. Remember those T-shirts? Da-da-da is life. The rest is just details. I used to have a T-shirt because when I was a kid, MMA didn't exist. So I had a T-shirt that said, baseball is life, the rest is just details. Because for me, when I was a kid, I actually played baseball, not like a lot of these nerds talking about baseball being Montreal Expos fans that fucking couldn't throw a baseball if their life depended on it. But I digress.
Who are you talking about, Dave? Who are you talking about?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just a bunch of silver spoon nerds that couldn't throw a fucking baseball if their life depended on it, but that's okay. I actually played baseball. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you could read into that however you want to read into that. You want to talk about other guys, whatever. It's fine. But let's just say I really played and I was actually good at baseball. You know, I actually have some athleticism. I'm not just a skinny nerd, right?
But does he do MMA too? Tell me.
But back in those days, baseball was life, and the rest, details. Right now, give me a fucking T-shirt. Pro wrestling and MMA is life. The rest is just details. You guys don't remember those shirts? You guys didn't have one of those shirts? You know what I'm talking about? You remember those shirts? Those were popular in like the mid-90s.
I mean, mid-90s, I was already an adult, so.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I was a child. And I was going to Expos games all the fucking time, believe me. Because baseball was my life. For real.
I love the Expos. I went.
And the best part is you still live in Montreal.
Games.
Of course I still live in Montreal because I'm a real Montrealer. Nobody's paying for me to live an extravagant life outside of the city.
And listen, baseball, first of all, was supported
Nobody's
from the
paying for me to go to a fancy American college that is a fucking fast track to whatever. Because we're not millionaires. We're fucking hundredaires and thousandaires over here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, for now, David. Come on, for now, man.
For now, of course, man. Generational, man.
We won't forget all the people.
One day we'll be millionaires, and then my son will be a billionaire, hopefully. But by that point, billionaires will be like nothing because the real shit will be like the trillionaires and
inflation.
Right?
It will be called inflation.
I heard that Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy, was on track to be the world's first trillionaire. How fucking crazy is that? Trillionaire. Woo, fuck. He could give Jon Jones $15 million, no problem. He wouldn't even notice.
What does he buy the UFC? That's it, man. Get a guy like this to buy the UFC, and that's it.
He doesn't really have $1 trillion.
No, but
he's
worth
into Amazon. And if you wanted to sell his stock option, the amount of people out there with enough money to buy it is so very little that he would probably bring down the value right away. So, he has a lot of wealth, and congrats to him. I love Amazon, man. I'm a Bezos guy. Amazon, I order something at 11 p.m. The next day, it's at my house before 11 a.m.
Not these days.
Love Amazon.
Not these days, Fred.
With the premium, you can get it.
No, I have Amazon Prime. Amazon's Prime slow as fuck now in Corona times. Amazon Prime ain't worth shit these days, Bezos. Get your shit together. Where's Amazon drone service, motherfucker? You got enough money to get it done. Vamos. All right.
Depends on your zone, Dave. It depends on your zone, man. Because in Montreal, we get it pretty quick.
I'm in Montreal.
Yeah, but you're on that side. It's Montreal, but...
Fred, correct him. AJ, you don't even know how to use Amazon Prime. You don't know what... You called
Technically,
it.
you're in
You called it
Montreal.
Amazon Premium. You don't even know what it's called, bro. What are
Yeah,
you
I know,
talking about?
because I don't do the orders, man.
I actually have Amazon Prime and have ordered things, and I know that currently it is taking longer for it to show up. It used to be next day or 2-day shipping, but now there are delays because there are delays for every postal service, delivery service in the world, or at least in Canada. So I know what I'm talking about, AJ.
Remember Wally said it was easier to go to my house on the South Shore than to go at your house that's barely in Montreal. You're like on the edge of Montreal. Somebody would push you off and you wouldn't be in Montreal no more.
Where would I be, Fred?
I don't know. What's next to Ville-LaSalle? It's Ville Saint Pierre or whatever.
That's still Montreal. It's all Montreal, Fred. It's all Montreal.
No. They have their own mayor in LaSalle, I think. Don't they have their own mayor?
Is Dorval still Montreal?
I don't think so.
I'm not going that far. That's too far, brother. All right, Stitcher Premium. We're gonna do the UFC 250 preview. I promise that is coming. Okay. My God.
But what about Gilbert?
This show is wild, man. This show has gone like fully wild these days. I like that we're not on the radio anymore. I feel like the show has more freedom. I get to talk about my balls. I get to fucking swear at Dana White. Feels good.
I don't get beeped and blocked all the time. It's great.
I know. I'm less concerned with the bullshit that you're going to say. I know you're going to say bullshit, but I know, like, here's the thing. Before, when you would say bullshit on the radio, I would be concerned that somebody was going to call me and complain and bitch, and I was just going to be like, yeah, okay, bye, click, you know? But now I don't have to be concerned that I might get an annoying phone call. I don't want to hear an annoying phone call about the content of my show. I don't want to hear anybody's fucking opinion, all right? I don't want to hear that shit. The show's going on, whether, you know what I mean? Oh, did your co-host say? Yeah, he fucking said that shit. Shut the fuck up about it, bitch. Jesus, move on. God damn, I don't want to hear that shit. And I'm glad we don't have to listen to any bullshit. Not like that happened. That never really happened. They left us alone. It was cool, but it was just in the back of my mind. You know, they really, TSN, I want to be clear, TSN 690 really, maybe once or twice I got a phone call about content of the show, but very rarely did they ever stick their nose into anything Ringside Report. I just was concerned that AJ might say something that might cause me to get a phone call that I don't fucking need to get.
Wait. First of all, I wasn't the one. Actually, the one who caused more controversy than me was Freddie. Remember when we got...
Me and Fred. Well, Fred got banned from TKO. Right?
Oh, why?
But I got you unbanned. Weren't you banned?
I think I got rebanned. I'm not sure.
I got you... Oh, maybe you...
lost track.
I don't know. Stefan... Stefan's mad, but then you could just say, "Hey, man, be cool," and then he's not so mad.
Anyways, man?
Does TKO still exist? TKO doesn't exist anymore.
Why are we talking about dinosaurs?
Where's Stefan Petrie? Whatever happened to him? Disappeared.
Listen, it's like Dana White. It's all about family, man. Don't worry, everything will come back together. We'll all be good. But it's not always AJ getting like the controversy. It wasn't me for once. I usually do stuff off air.
Franco wants us to talk about TSN, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to talk about them. I got nothing to say. I'm going to be on their
great network.
Listen,
great network.
I'm not going to say anything about them. I'm not going to talk about why I'm not going to talk about why exactly we're not on anymore. There are reasons. I can't really say exactly, but let's just say
show me the money.
Yeah. Well, that's that's part of it for sure. They weren't willing to, in any kind of way, and it was a little bit like, huh? Pardon? Just the offer on the table was a little bit.
Money?
I mean, yeah, exactly. They're like, what? Partner? No, that's not how it doesn't go that way. It goes the other way. They weren't really understanding the way it was supposed to go. The offer on the table was less unappealing and more just strange and puzzling. So we're just like, yeah, we're good on that. Thank you for your services, and we'll see you. And that's basically how we left it. We're just like, yeah, that doesn't make any the deal that was offered made no sense to us, so we didn't take it. And we're all quite happy with not taking it, and things have gone better since we've been off that radio station. So, well, Manscaped has joined the show. Like, we've gained a sponsor since we left the radio station.
Actually,
we have more. We have more sponsors now than when we were on the station. The show is more profitable now than when we're on the radio. and there are fewer restrictions, and I feel like we're able to provide a better show for you because there are fewer restrictions. And that's really what I'm most concerned about is the Ringside Report universe, the people that watch this show, the people that listen to this show. I'm concerned about you all primarily over making somebody else happy in some minute way. You know, it doesn't really matter. I think the show here that we're doing now, because of the creative freedom that we have, is the best possible version of this show. And I think that we've been doing some of the best shows that we've done ever since getting off the radio, and I think it's only getting better. Like I said, some of the things I have planned, and a couple of the things you guys don't even know about, but there's a couple huge things that we have planned that when they do come to fruition, you guys are going to be blown away. And I can't talk about a lot of stuff, but we've got a lot going on. So, you know, getting off one thing, it was not a big deal for us, considering what you know. I mean, it wasn't something that I was like super pumped about, but at the same time, I was like, yeah, all right, moving on. And it was kind of like if I lost $2, I'd be like, well, I had a toonie in my pocket. It's not there anymore. It sucks a little bit, but, you know, it's just $2. Who cares? Fucking $2 doesn't make a difference to me. Let's move on. And that's kind of how it felt. You know, it's just like, yeah, whatever. Everything is going so well otherwise that it didn't really make a dent.
But
all the potential sponsors out there also, like,
yeah, there's a lot. But you know what? You never know. TSN might.
And we don't have to share it with anybody, if you know what I mean. Here, everything goes.
We don't fake play the commercials. We actually play them.
Yes, that's
okay.
Another
Let's
thing.
move on. Let's move on, guys. Stitcher Premium. Let me disappear, you guys. Bye, guys. See you later. I'll tell you. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Okay, I'm just gonna none of that. All right, Ringside Report Network. We've been making podcasts for over 15 years, and many of you have been using Stitcher to stream or download our shows, Wrestling Uncensored and Ringside Report MMA. Stitcher offering you the Ringside Report universe as part of their sponsorship of our work, a special offer on the premium version of their service. Now, besides all of our shows, you get access to over 100,000 podcasts available on iPhone, Android, tablet, PC, Amazon Echo, or in your car on demand ad-free with Stitcher Premium. You've got Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more. Just $4.99 a month or $34.99 a year. You go to Stitcher.com/premium right now with the promo code Ringside. Sign up, get a free month. Stitcher.com/premium, promo code Ringside. It's $4.99 a month, $34.99 a year. But if you go to Stitcher.com/premium right now, promo code Ringside, you get a free month of Stitcher Premium. It's a great service. You support them. We get a kickback. It helps us support the Ringside Report Network. Everybody wins. You get a great service. And that's really the deal with supporting the sponsors of the Ringside Report Network, of Wrestling Uncensored, of Dave and Johnny Live. You support the sponsors, you support the show, and you get a great product as well. So they win, you know, they're making money, they're happy with Ringside Report. We get a little bit of money, we can keep producing podcasts, we can keep buying pay-per-views, we can keep buying equipment, we can keep buying whatever equipment we need to keep putting the shows together for you. And you guys get a great product. Like, that's the other thing about the sponsors. They're all great products, and, you know, we use IPVanish. We use Stitcher Premium. It's a great service, a lot of great audio on there. And you heard me in depth talk about how much I use Manscaped. So we really use these products. These are really great products, and you could use them as well. Support us, support the channel, get more entertainment, right? The more you support, the more we give you, and then you get a sweet product in return. Like, it's really, it's a good deal, man. Support the Ringside Report Network sponsors, Manscaped, Stitcher Premium, and IPVanish. All great stuff. Promo codes on everything, special deals. You heard the commercials. I'm telling you, it's a good deal. I really believe in this stuff. I'm not bullshitting.
Well, Dave, you really said about those products, man. You convinced me. You really promote, unlike what Freddie said.
Okay. So, guys, UFC 250. Shit. Amanda Nunes.
Dave, he's a lawyer.
No, we're good. We're good. No, they won't. No, it's fine. You kept it vague enough that we can plausible deniability, AJ. Plausible deniability. Okay. So Amanda Nunes is 19-4. She has won 9 straight, including wins over. Again, I got to run down the list because it's so damn impressive. Valentina Shevchenko, the current world champion at 125. Miesha Tate, former world champion. Ronda Rousey, former champion. Valentina Shevchenko again. Raquel Pennington. Chris Cyborg, knocked out Cyborg. Only one to beat Cyborg in the UFC. Only one to beat Cyborg in, 15 years. Holly Holm. And Jermaine Durandamy most recently in a tough fight, a decision victory back in December. But you look at the list of accomplishments, the list of victories. She's a 2-weight world champion, 135, 145-pound champion, currently in the UFC, defending both belts. Right? She's going up and down. Has anyone ever done that? Did DC do it when he held both belts? I don't think so. No one's ever done that. People have been 2-weight world champions. Cejudo didn't do it. Cejudo won the 125. He won the 135. But once he won the 135, he never went back to defend the 125. Has anybody...
then after losing his title shot, went back to defend it, but I don't remember anybody winning a heavier weight belt and coming back after that to defend his lower weight.
I don't think anyone has ever done that, and Amanda Nunes is doing it. Her last fight was for the Bantamweight Championship. The fight before that was for the Bantamweight Championship. The fight before that is when she won the UFC Women's Featherweight title by knocking out Chris Cyborg. So this will be her first defense of the UFC Women's Featherweight Championship. So she she fought most of her career in the UFC at 135. She was the 135 champion. She went up to 145, knocked out Cyborg with the quickness, and then went back down to 135, defended the title 2 more times, and now she's going back up to 145 to defend the title there. That is a bad motherfucker. Give her the title. She's the bad motherfucker. God damn. Unprecedented. No one's ever done this before. Amanda Nunes,
she knocked out...
she is the greatest of all time. Greatest women's fighter ever. Ever.
That's
without
right.
a doubt.
And you're talking above Ronda Rousey. You're talking about above people from the beginning like Gina Carano and all the ones who started.
Cyborg, Ronda, whoever you want, Valentina, Joanna, line them all up. Amanda Nunes is number 1 by far. By far.
Listen. Her first fight was against Cyborg, and she went in there and knocked her out in 51 seconds. I'm telling you, if people don't know who Cyborg is and they're just tuning into our show or whatnot, this girl was beating up men back in Brazil. I've seen videos of Cyborg just like laying flat guys that were MMA experienced. She was a beast. And you know what? Amanda came and destroyed her in 51 seconds. That shows you the level of power this girl has. She's only 32 years old, man. She still has a lot of fight in her.
Jeez.
And you know what? Think about it, man. Who's going to be able to fight her? I know that Spencer's coming in. She's a big girl and whatnot. She fought Cyborg. They went to the decision and whatnot. Yeah, which was kind of impressive. She brought Cyborg to latter rounds. But the difference is that Amanda came in and knocked her out. And this is a Cyborg who's not past her prime. She's
Nunes.
She's just a beast.
Or Cyborg. Yeah.
Yeah, Cyborg is not like past her career.
Yeah.
She's in her prime, man. She got knocked out. And the thing is that people don't understand the capabilities of Amanda. I mean, she can knock you out and she can submit you. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she's got about 3 submission wins in her career. The rest are like KOs or whatnot. I mean, wow. Who's going to be able to fight her at featherweight after this is done?
I don't know, man. The division better hope Felicia Spencer pulls off an upset. Otherwise, it's going to be the Amanda Nunes show for a long time. She's just 32 years of age. Spencer's 29. She was born in Montreal. I don't think she grew up here. I think she grew up somewhere else, but she's Canadian.
Florida.
Right?
She grew up in Florida.
Did she actually grow up in Florida?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken,
Western Canada, but
I thought it was Western Canada. No, she trains in Florida, but I don't think she went to the
out in Miami. Look into it, but either or. Look, she's a Montrealer by birth.
Well, she was born. She attended the University of Central Florida. So at some point in college, but yeah, maybe she is from Orlando because she trained at Jungle MMA, which is an Orlando-based gym.
Look,
She's born.
It says she
she's
moved to Orlando when she went to the University of Florida.
okay.
That's what it says on her Wikipedia page.
Yeah, I think she did kind of grow up. Graduated from Lemon Bay High School. Oh, in Inglewood, Florida.
Oh.
So she probably did grow up in Florida.
AJ was right.
AJ was right.
AJ
But my
was right,
God, are
of
they
course.
pushing? I mean, if you went to high school in Florida, Inglewood, Florida, right? You probably grew up in Florida. It says, she was born in Montreal, Quebec, but she's technically Canadian, but, I mean, she's pretty much American. She is representing Canada pretty hard, though. I think they're trying to sell that to try and get Canadian people to pay attention, but we are not because we don't know who Felicia Spencer is. And, well, she's kind of Canadian, but, is she? Is she, though?
Look.
Whatever. If you're born in Canada, you're Canadian, and it's all good. I don't want to take away your Canadian citizenship. But if you graduate from an American high school, I mean, chances are you grew up mostly in the States, and I don't think that she would be offended if you said, well, you probably identify more as an American because you kind of lived most of your life in the United States. But on all the posters, it's like Canadian flag painted on her face. She's got the Canadian flag around her. Like, she's repping hard for Canada for somebody who graduated high school in Inglewood, Florida. Right?
A bit like you with France when World Cup is
Take
around.
it easy, Fred. Take it easy.
I don't know, man. I'm not going to get into that. Like, wherever she's from, I don't care.
Look,
I just want to see her fight. Unfortunately, I don't give her a shot.
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes is going to knock her out.
If she wins, though, Montrealer. Montrealer, Canadian, proud Canadian. We love
Born
it.
and
We're
bred.
we're gonna celebrate it. Born and bred. That's right, bred as well. She grew up here. Yeah, for sure. She loves it.
Long enough for being a champion.
As long as it says Montreal, Quebec, Canada as your birthplace on Wikipedia, we will accept you as a Canadian as long as you're a world champion. If you lose to Amanda Nunes, you're from Inglewood, Florida. All right? That's the Ringside Report rules. It's like that Ricky Simone when he fought Uriah Faber. I was like, if Ricky Simone, he beats Faber, he could be Ricky Simon. But if he loses, he's out of the family. And he lost. So now Ricky Simone is no longer related to me. Even though we kind of look similar. We have a similar look, which is weird. Yeah.
Except he has a mohawk. But listen,
it's
Dave,
like a mullet,
like
doesn't it?
What kind of mohawk mullet?
It's a mullet. It's like a mohawk mullet. It's a mullet.
Yeah, it's a mullet. Yeah, like a coupe longueuil or something like that. So I'm going to tell you. Listen, William Shatner's from Montreal. Did you know that?
William Shatner grew up on the same street that I did, Marcel. He's from NDG. Yeah.
Yeah, man. NDG.
We grew up, and William Shatner and I grew up on the same street.
Crazy.
How about that?
He might have lived in his house. He could have been in his house for all you know.
No, he lived above Sherbrooke, bro.
He did?
Yeah, I think he lived around Monklin or Terrebonne.
Oof. He didn't live below the tracks, so it doesn't count. It's not the same below the tracks.
It's not the same as below the tracks. Or below Sherbrooke. No. Or below Sherbrooke, bro. De Maisonneuve represent.
Listen, Dave, I'm going to tell you something. We can't take away the fact that this girl, even though she's minus 650 in betting odds, she's such a long shot. But let's not forget that this girl was an Invicta former world champion. This girl here, half of her career wins have been by RNC, rare naked choke. This is what could be dangerous for Amanda.
Did you say rare naked choke?
Did I? I said rear naked choke. Or maybe rare, depending on how. Did I? Rear. It come in cul en français. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Let's not forget that all she has to do is take your back. And that could be the danger point for, like, Amanda. Like, this is the only way.
Get the fuck out of here. Amanda Nunes is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. You think Amanda Nunes can't defend a fucking backpack? Get the fuck out of here. Amanda Nunes, you take good luck taking her back. Amanda Nunes is so strong. Her wrestling is so good. Let's be honest. Felicia Spencer doesn't have a shot. Amanda Nunes is going to knock her out in the first round. If you guys don't agree, that's fine. That's my take on this fight. Amanda Nunes is the baddest motherfucker on the planet. She's the greatest women's fighter of all time. Amanda Nunes is going to walk through Felicia Spencer. She's going to knock her out. There's nobody right now that could fuck with Amanda Nunes. Jermaine Durand to me came close. She's really, really good. Felicia Spencer is good, but she's not good enough to deal with Amanda Nunes. I'm sorry. She doesn't have the striking, the knockout power to deal with Amanda. Amanda might have trouble finishing her, putting her away, but I think she beats her. I think she either beats her by decision, but I don't know, man. Nunes is very tough.
Decision.
I think she knocks her out. I think she takes her out in the first, maybe first round was a little bit much, but first couple rounds. I'd say Spencer doesn't last 10 minutes with Amanda Nunes.
I agree with you on that, Dave. But I was just trying to throw out the possibility as a long shot that the only way for her to win is by RNC. That's her go-to move. Like, you look at Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern's win was amazing.
It was a knee bar. Mackenzie Dern is one of the best jiu-jitsu players in the game, though. What are you talking about?
To start the fight. If
Sorry,
Amanda Nunes were
Fred.
to give her back to start the fight, she would still win because she'll defend the rear naked. Like, seriously, she won't. This is a mismatch. This is a big mismatch, but hey, there's been surprises before in MMA, but I don't see it happening.
This would be a pretty big one. A minus 600 favorite going up against a plus 450 underdog, the greatest women's fighter of all time, going up against Felicia Spencer, who's won one in a row. She's 8-1. She lost to Cyborg in a 3-round decision, then beat Zara Farron dos Santos to get this title shot. I would be happy for Felicia Spencer to win. I would like to see another Canadian world champion in the UFC. How awesome would that be to see another Canadian win a title in the UFC? Hasn't happened since Georges St. Pierre. Wouldn't mind seeing another Canadian get some gold. I just don't think Felicia Spencer is going to be the one to do it. Next week, Charles Jourdain is fighting Feely, right? Andre Feely.
Touchy Feely, yeah.
You want to talk about a possible next Canadian world champion in the UFC? Next week, we might see one of the guys who could get there in Charles Jourdain. So pay attention to that guy. Felicia Spencer, I wish her luck. I hope she wins. I think she won't.
Listen, let's see if we could get some kind of interview with those guys when they're out there at the UFC. They're fighting where? In Vegas, I think?
Apparently, Charles Jourdain is fighting in Las Vegas next Saturday. Are the borders not closed?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Also.
Montreal, he's been fighting. He's been training out of Montreal, so that's the thing.
I mean, gyms are closed.
Yeah, how's he training?
Well, you know what?
Doesn't his brother's a fighter too? I think he's training at home with his brother, right? Louis?
Very good fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, guys are figuring out a way. I'm not sure how he's going to make it to Vegas and then make it back into Canada. But, hey, Charles Jourdain, I think, is going to be fighting next weekend for the UFC. This weekend, though, I want to take a look at a couple more fights. Rafael Assunção against Cody Garbrandt and Corey Sandhagen against Aljamain Sterling. I think that somebody around there is going to get a title shot against the bantamweight champion, whether it's Jose Aldo or Peter Yan. That fight's supposed to happen at some point this summer. Aldo versus Yan, maybe on Fight Island for the vacant bantamweight title. But Rafael Assunção against Cody Garbrandt and Corey Sandhagen versus Aljamain Sterling, I see as potential number one contender bouts. More so the Aljamain-Sandhagen fight. I was surprised that Aljamain didn't get Peter Yan to fight for the bantamweight title. I was surprised they gave it to Jose Aldo. I think rankings dictate that it really should have been Sterling's title shot. He's got a very tough 12-1 Corey Sandhagen. If Sandhagen
that guy's good.
He's very good. If he can beat Sterling, he's in line for a title shot. If Sterling can beat him, he's in line for a title shot. I think that fight right there, Aljamain Sterling versus Corey Sandhagen, that is a number one contenders bout. But Cody Garbrandt is a former champion, and the UFC tends to favor names and former champions over rightful number one contenders. Hence why they have Jose Aldo in a title fight. Cody Garbrandt hasn't won a fight since 2016. He's lost 3 in a row, 2 to Dillashaw, 1 to Pedro Munoz. Will Cody Garbrandt get his first win in nearly 4 years in the co-main event? He's a minus 140 favorite. Rafael Assunção plus 120 the underdog. I don't know about that,
going
man.
With Assunção.
Assunção's lost 2 in a row, but to Marlon Moraes and Corey Sandhagen, 2 very tough fighters. And he lost, recently. His last win, though, was in 2018. It hasn't been that long. The only thing going up against Assunção is that he's 37. Cody Garbrandt's 28, but he hasn't won in nearly 4 years. And he's in the co-main event?
Listen,
ever since his win against... Go ahead, AJ.
I was going to say, Assunção's loss was to Sanhagen, and I'm telling you, this guy is really the name to look at. When you see this fight, take a look at this kid, Corey Sanhagen. He's only 28 years old. So out of those 4 fighters that are going to be on that card, the one to really look at is Sanhagen. This guy here is going to be the future, to be the number 1 contender.
You're discounting Aljamain Sterling, I think, a little bit too early. Before we get your pick on that fight, AJ, AJ, I want to hear your pick for the Assunção Garbrandt fight, because right now Garbrandt is sitting as the favorite, and I'm getting the feeling that we're all going to go against the favorite and go with the underdog. Not a huge underdog, but plus 120, Rafael Assunção. I think he's going to win this fight. I think he takes out Cody Garbrandt. I'm not exactly sure about the method of victory. It could go to decision. He might knock out Garbrandt, and he might submit him. Like, I could see it going many different ways, but every single way that I see this fight going goes in the favor of Rafael Assunção picking up a victory. I think Cody Garbrandt is mentally broken. I don't think he's been the same since that loss to TJ Dillashaw. It totally fucked him up. The fight afterwards, he looked worse. The fight after that, he looked even worse. He got knocked unconscious. He's not looked good since that TJ Dillashaw fight, and he's not been active, and he's only 28. You know, for a 28-year-old guy who's a former world champion, you would think he'd be a little bit more active than he has been. I think something's going on with him. I don't think he's fully there, and I'm not sure why the odds have him as the favorite, but I've got Rafael Assunção getting this win for sure. Guys, are you going with me on Assunção? We all went with the underdog Gilbert Burns last week in the main event. Here's the co-main event. I think Assunção is a pretty good bet.
I got Assunção. Garbrandt, the last time that he's been impressive was against Dominic Cruz. And if you remember, like, he got that shot against Dominic Cruz, and not many people believed in Garbrandt back then. And he had, like, the performance of a lifetime. But after that, he hasn't come close to give us anything like that. He's been on a losing streak. So I still need to see him reproduce that performance. Like, I know he has a lot of talent and all, but I've only seen him, like, at the elite level, I feel, once. And since then, you know, it's been downhill. So I'm going to go with Assunção, who's a veteran, who always shows up. Yeah, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but I know Assunção is always mentally ready, and also I'm going to go with Assunção to win. Probably a decision, maybe a TKO if he overwhelms him, maybe even a submission. But I think he's going to be, like, dominating most of that fight.
I see being a UFC champion in my mind like climbing a fucking mountain, a big mountain. You climb that mountain, it is tough. Once you get on top of that mountain, you're the UFC champion. But once you lose that belt and you're not on the top of the mountain anymore, well, there's only one way to go. Right?
Look,
and
Dave,
look at the history of the UFC and find me world champions that have lost their title and gone on to great things and better things in the company. There are few and far between. You lose that title, you got to the top, you got to the best that you're ever going to be, and then everybody else caught up with you, they beat you, and now you're on the downhill. Very few guys become world champion, lose the title, and then come back and have great careers. You can argue it, AJ, but I'd like to see you give me some examples because it doesn't really happen.
George St. Pierre lost to Matt Serra, and he came back to be better than he ever was. Let's be honest.
That was, you know what? That was fluky. That was fluky, though. Come on, man. That's a rare example.
But he lost bad. And let's be honest. Like, not to take away from Cody Garbrandt, but this guy started so strong.
Very few two-time champions in the UFC. Very few two-time champions in a given division, right?
You're right.
It doesn't happen and very often.
The thing with Cody is that he started so strong. He got a championship title belt after only having 5 fights in the UFC. So he started, like, his time was really short. In MMA, after the Cruz fight, he was 11-0. So now he has 3 losses. He's still a young guy. You're right. It's really hard to get back on top of the throne when you were champion. But he's still, 28 years old. Listen, only way...
Chris Weidman was young when he lost to Luke Rockhold. How's his career been since? Right? You get to the top of the mountain. Like, Chris Weidman, to me, is a perfect example. The guy's only 35. But he hasn't been effective as a top flight MMA fighter since he was 30. Right? Like,
yeah.
Since 2015. His last win streak was 2015. He won 13 in a row, beat Anderson Silva twice, became a world champion. His 10th fight, his 10th pro fight, he was a world champion 7 years ago when he was 28 years old. Chris Weidman became world champion, beat the great Anderson Silva at 28. Then he beat him again. Then he beat Machida. Then he beat Vitor. And then he hit 30. He lost to Rockhold. He lost to Yoel. He lost to Rockhold, lost the title. Never the same. Lost to Yoel. Lost to Gegard. Beat Gastelum. Then he lost to Jacare. Then he lost to Dominic Reyes. I mean, he won 13 in a row. He lost the title. And he hasn't been able to string 2 wins together since. And he's not an old guy. This just happens. I think it's mental, a lot of it. Because you work so hard to achieve this goal of becoming world champion. Once you achieve that goal and you lose the world championship, it's got to be mentally fucking draining to try and work your way back and get that title. The reason George St. Pierre was able to do it is because mentally he's so strong. He's obsessed. He's talked about having OCD and how he's just obsessed and he just won't quit. He won't quit. He won't quit. He's driven. He's the greatest fighter of all time. But not every world champion that loses is going to be George St. Pierre. They're very few and far between. Cody Garbrandt, I think, is more Chris Weidman than GSP, unfortunately. And I feel bad saying this because I like Chris Weidman. I don't really like Cody Garbrandt. He comes off kind of douchey. But I like Chris Weidman, right? But it's just the facts, man. You know, you look at his record. You see what happened. He's never been the same since losing to Luke Rockhold. And it's not like his career should have been done. He was looking good in that Rockhold fight. He was 30 years old. It just never clicked again for him in the UFC. And I don't think it ever will, right? It's talk of retirement. You lose that title, you're just falling down the mountain. You climb the mountain to get there. Once you're the champion, you're on top of the mountain. Somebody takes that title away from you. There's only one way to go, man. Down.
True, Dave. True words, man. But you know what?
Fight philosophy here. You know why I got fight philosophy, right. AJ? Because I think about this shit all the time. Because it's my life. You know what I'm saying? Eat, sleep, breathe this shit.
Not like some guys that we know. But the thing is...
I'm not watching basketball, I'll tell you that much. Fuck.
For guys who talk MMA, who've never done anything. But listen, I'm going to tell you something. Don't know a wrist
lock from a wristwatch, brother. Get it together.
Look, Rafael is probably one of the best fighters who never competed in a championship. And I'm going to give you that. That's the difference. But we can't forget that Cody has a knockout power. He has one of the best, probably a perfect takedown defense. The guy has 9 knockouts out of 11 wins. If he stays on his feet and he's able to play his game, Cody, he can tag Rafael. But Rafael is a champion who's never been a champion in a sense. So, you know, look, we'll see.
That sounds great. Bet against Garbrandt. He's not going to win. He's done. Aljamain Sterling, I think, is a future world champion. So is Corey Sandhagen. I mean, I think these guys could be fighting for world titles soon. And I'm seeing Acme Tudes. He's saying, what's wrong with basketball? Nothing's wrong with basketball. I'm not saying anything wrong with basketball. I'm just saying I'd rather watch a fight than a basketball game, unlike some people who cover MMA. Read into that where you will, right? Some nerds.
He loves basketball. Don't worry. He loves basketball.
I like basketball.
He wears Jordan stuff all the time.
Yeah, no, I like basketball. I think it's a great game. It's one of my favorite sports. Like, I watch basketball over hockey. I find hockey a little too boring because it's a lot of skating around, and I feel like it's not enough action for me. It's like, okay, well, let's shoot the puck here. Oh, it didn't work. Let's skate back. It's like soccer, you know? It's like soccer on ice, but I like soccer a little bit more. I don't want to diss hockey now. Anyways, let's move on. Aljamain Sterling, it's not smart to diss hockey if you're in Montreal. I don't want to diss hockey. I'm just saying I'm a bigger basketball fan than I am a hockey fan. I'm just saying I like basketball. It's cool. Hockey's great too, and if you like hockey, I understand it. You know, hockey's cool. Go Habs. They're going to win the Stanley Cup this year. Right?
Probably
Isn't
not,
the
Dave.
Stanley Cup
Probably
going to be
not.
decided on like a fucking coin flip? Like, why not? The Habs could win. Who cares? Aljamain Sterling taking on Corey Sandhagen. Guys, I want to hear your picks because I'm finding this one really hard. Odds makers finding it really hard. I'm seeing pick'em odds. I'm seeing Aljamain minus 115, Sandhagen minus 105. Like, it's a coin flip type of fight, man. We could flip a coin and pick a winner on this one. It's going to be tough. I'm leaning towards Sandhagen. Yeah, I'm with you, AJ, on that. I think his wrestling is just
Dave.
so solid, but I
exciting.
think he's going to be hard. I think Sterling's going to be hard to catch. I kind of want to see them at the weigh-ins face to face. I haven't seen them face to face yet, and I'm wondering how much bigger Sterling is. Like, this is going to come down to the tiniest mistake. It's going to come down to who's stronger, who's got better footwork, who's a little bit rangier, who moves better, and who reacts first. Like, this is going to be a tough fight, and I don't think this fight gets finished. I think we definitely go 3 rounds with this one. I think it's going to be a tough one to call for the judges. I think each man will probably win a round, and then we'll have one of those rounds in between that's kind of like, you could have given it to either guy. People will cry bullshit on either side. You know how UFC fights go, right? You know how it goes. But I think it's going to be tough. I got Sandhagen by decision, but I could see it going Sterling by decision. I think this fight's going to go all 3 rounds. I think the winner of this fight fights for the Bantamweight Championship against the winner of Aldo and Yan. I'm gonna give a slight edge to Sandhagen in this one, but I could see Aljamain Sterling staying on the outside and landing some good shots. Aljamain's got good wrestling defense as well. Oh, this is a tough fight. And this, to me, is the fight on this card. This is one of the fights that I'm most excited about. I think more than anything, this is kind of my main event. Like, I know Nunes and Spencer, it's all good and everything, but Aljamain Sterling, Corey Sandhagen, that's a good fucking bantamweight fight. That's my main event right there.
Look, Dave, I think you're absolutely right.
Go ahead, AJ.
Freddie.
Okay.
No,
go ahead,
go,
Freddie.
Freddie.
No, go ahead, Freddie.
Excellent fight. I also have Sandhagen. And you're right. It's probably the fight that has the most impact on the division. Whoever's the most impressive in this one probably has a more legit case for having a title shot. Whereas Asuncao and Garbrandt, they're both on losing streaks and all that. It's more about their name recognition. So Sterling and Sandhagen, they got a lot to fight for tomorrow, Saturday. So I'm going to go also with Sandhagen, probably a decision. I could still see him maybe ending up with a TKO, but his wrestling style, Sterling is still a tough fighter. He'll be able to withstand most of the damage. So I got Sandhagen by decision.
Look,
AJ?
And I think you're right. You're right with the decision because Sterling, the problem with him is that his last 7 out of 9 fights have gone to the judges. You know what? And he started so good, and I find that he's gone so limp lately. He lost to Moraes his last fight, if I'm not mistaken. And you know what? Sandhagen is just this guy. He's just a promising UFC fighter, and his name is going to be. Did he lose to Moraes his last fight?
No. He's won 4 straight. He lost to Moraes in December 2017, AJ. But since then, Aljamain Sterling has won 4 in a row in the UFC. Wins over Jimmy Rivera. His win over Pedro Munoz in June of last year was his last fight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, either or. I mean, look, it's always going to the judges' decisions. So that's the thing with him, and I agree with you. Sandhagen is probably going to win this. Not by split. I think it's going to be unanimous, like he did with Asuncao.
All right, we all got Corey Sandhagen here, and we all have Rafael Asuncao. Interesting that we give it a clean sweep. We all took Amanda Nunes as well. I think everybody's going to be taking Sugar Sean O'Malley coming in as a big favorite against Eddie Wineland, the second biggest favorite on this card next to Amanda Nunes. O'Malley minus 500, Wineland plus 400. This feels like a showcase fight for Sean O'Malley. He's a talented kid. He's 25 years old. The UFC has him. They're trying to push him. He's 11-0. He's going to take on Eddie Wineland, who's been in the game forever. This guy was, in the WEC. He's been fighting as a pro since 2003. He's 10 years older than Sean O'Malley at 35, and he's a huge underdog. He's coming off a loss while O'Malley's coming off 11 straight wins. This seems like a mismatch just to showcase Sean O'Malley. That's what this is. I got O'Malley by victory. You won't win any kind of money betting on him, though. He's such a huge favorite. It's a slam dunk. Might want to throw him in with your parlay of Asuncao and Sanhagen. But other than that, Sean O'Malley, talented kid. Seems like he's going to do well in the UFC. And this is just a showcase fight, right?
Look, when he was out for 2 years, I mean, who knows what he could have done. You know, he had his failed drug test. He had his hip surgery. The kid is only 25, but he's 11-0, man. This kid is being showcased as the main fight for the prelims, but he's going to come out and he's going to show people who he is, or people that forgot who he is. The kid is amazing, and there's a few other fighters that are going to be awesome on the undercard. Yeah,
Chase Hooper, right? Your favorite guy, your little guy there, Chase Hooper. He's a young kid. He's taking on Bruce Leroy, Alex Caceres. Looks like the Facebook guy. Other fights, Evan Dunham's on this card. Holy shit. Evan Dunham's 38. He's been fighting forever, man. Made his UFC debut in 2009 at UFC 95 when he knocked out Per Eklund. Remember Per Eklund from Finland? I remember Per Eklund. Oh, Sweden. Sorry. I thought he was Finnish. He was Swedish. He was a Swedish MMA fighter before Gustafsson made it cool, right? Yeah, so that's how long Evan Dunham's been in the game. Like, Evan Dunham, you guys know the name. You've seen him fight all the guys, Tyson Griffin, Sean Shirk, Melvin Gillard, TJ Grant, Rafael Dos Anjos, Donald Cerrone, Joe Lozon, Olivier Aubin. I mean, Evan Dunham's fought them all, man. And he's going to be fighting again on the first fight of the night against Herbert Burns coming up on Saturday night. I always like to see the old school guys in action. Old school like Evan Dunham. Big respect to all the old school MMA fighters still bringing it, still kicking ass. We love you all. Big respect to everybody watching the show. Thank you to Patrick C. Hamilton for the super chat. Thank you for Antoinette for supporting the show on the super chat. We appreciate you very much. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Antoinette. This show brought to you by Patrick C. Hamilton and Antoinette, and also by Manscaped. If you missed a part of this show, go back and watch my Manscaped commercial. It was more revealing than I think I've ever been on this program. It was something. Go back and watch me go wild on Dana White and Jon Jones. This was a 2-hour edition of Ringside Report. We could never do this on the radio, right? We could never do this. We could never bring everybody this much content. We were stuck at 1 hour, but now we have 2, and we have way more content. We can go on as long as we want. This is more Joe Rogan than radio, and I can't remember the last time I heard of a radio guy getting a $100 million deal from any kind of big company. But I heard Joe Rogan do that, and that seems like a better goal than any kind of deal we'd get otherwise, right? So we're trying to do this a little bit more long form. We can cut off whenever we want, just like Rogan does, because he's got the freedom. Now we have full freedom, free reign. We can do whatever the fuck we want, a 2-hour show. We can do what we want, Cheers. AJ. Freedom.
Cheers,
feels good. It feels good. Freedom is better for us, and it's better for you, the Ringside Report universe. Support our sponsors, manscaped.com. Promo code Ringside20 for 20% off, plus free shipping. Go to IPVanish, vpn.ringsidereport.net, and sign up at Stitcher for Stitcher Premium, stitcher.com/premium, promo code Ringside. Don't forget, ringsidereport.net is our website. Freddie and AJ will be back with me on Saturday night, 10 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel for the UFC 250 watch-along. We're going to be watching this pay-per-view right here with you. We're going to be partying. We're going to be smoking numbers. We're going to be having a good time. Saturday night, UFC 250 watch-along, 10 p.m. Freddie's ready. Freddie's geared up, right? 10 p.m. Saturday night for the UFC 250 watch-along. Tomorrow on Dave and Johnny Live, get ready for this. I have a big show planned for everybody. Tomorrow on Dave and Johnny Live, WWE has In Your House coming up this Sunday. They are bringing back In Your House, an event that they have not done since the late 90s. The last In Your House was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. I think it was February 14th, 1999. So the WWE
Vince
bringing
McMahon
back
took a nasty fall
off the cage,
on
right?
The table.
See?
Yeah,
memorable. It was a memorable match.
The table didn't give.
I know.
I went like, oh, that must have hurt.
And that is going to be part of what we talk about tomorrow, because tomorrow on Dave and Johnny Live, we're going to go back in time and give our top 10 in-your-house matches. We're going to recap all, I looked through, today I did my research for this, I looked through every in-your-house that WWE ever did.
I know which one is number one for me.
I looked through every card. I looked through all the matches, and I have a huge list. I'm actually going to cut it down. When I'm done this show, I'm going to still work because I'm going to cut down my list to 10. I have a list of about 18 matches that I'm going to cut down to 10 and put them in order of my top 10 in-your-house matches in the history of the WWE. We're talking old school wrestling more and more on Dave and Johnny Live. I realize we talk a lot of current pro wrestling, but we don't talk a lot of old school wrestling, and I know a lot of you want to hear about old school wrestling, and Johnny North and I have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the history of professional wrestling and old school professional wrestling that we don't really get to flex. We don't really get to talk about much. So on Dave and Johnny Live, part of the new plan is to do more old school wrestling talk on Dave and Johnny Live to include some of that, because we all love reminiscing of pro wrestling, the good old days, the fun times in pro wrestling, the mid-90s, the 80s, whatever you guys want to talk about. You can suggest topics for Dave and Johnny Live as well. Send me a tweet or a DM on Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. Tomorrow, we will Johnny and I both reveal our top 10 in-your-house matches in the history of WWE, then WWF, really, in your house. This will be the first WWE in your house. They were all WWF back then. Top 10 in-your-house matches tomorrow, 12:45, right here on the YouTube channel for Dave and Johnny Live. Before we wrap up, though, Freddie, what is your number one in-your-house match of all time?
It's Mankind against Shawn Michaels.
Mind Games.
That was such a good, action pack. That's probably where I started to really appreciate Mankind, where I went, okay, this guy is fun, but no, this guy is incredible. Him and Michaels put on such a great match. I love that one.
That's a great one. It's on my list. Definitely top 10. I think you got to put it top 5. I don't know where exactly it ranks on my list, but it's up there. It was a great match. AJ, I would ask you, but I know you don't have an answer.
I was going to say George the Animal Steel, man. How come we don't talk about that guy? He was the best.
Was he, though?
George, man.
Okay.
Yeah, man. He used to eat,
See, you can tell how old a guy is by the wrestlers he wants you to talk about, right? Fred wants me to talk about, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. AJ wants me to talk about George the Animal Steel and, Killer Kowalski. Those are the guys that AJ is familiar with. Edouard Carpentier, you know what I mean?
Mad Dog Vachon.
Exactly, Mad Dog Vachon. That's who AJ is familiar with, the old school wrestlers that didn't die young, died old, and are all dead. You know what I mean? They died when they were they died when they were 90 something, and it was in 2003. By the way, before we wrap up the show, I would like to give a special shout out. Somebody dying at 90 something reminded me that my great uncle Rene Clément passed away today. So I'd like to give a shout out to him. Rest in peace, Uncle Rene. He lived a long life. 96 years old, this guy. 96.
Wow, that's amazing.
Passed away today, my great uncle. So, shout out to him. I'm sad that he didn't get to live more so I could give him some Manscaped. You know what I mean? He would have loved it. He would have loved it, brother. So rest in peace, Uncle Rene. And, give him a shout out on the YouTube, man. I didn't know him that well, but he's a great uncle. He's my grandmother's. My grandmother had 12 siblings. My grandmother's 93.
What?
She had 12 siblings, and she's the last one left. This is her last brother. Last sibling. She's the last one. Last one still standing. But it shows you, man. Men in my family, man. A guy that's blood related to me died at 96 gives me hope for my life. Gives me hope for the future. That this guy, he lived no, it's true, man. A long, healthy life. 96 years old. Lives to 96. I could only hope to live to 96 and see that many years, So gives me hope that I know that, hey, it's possible, man. A guy in my family lived 96 years. So we celebrate you, Uncle Rene. Respect to you, Rene Clément. Speak your name, 96 years old. Rest in peace, my man. All right? Fred, you want to give a shout-out before we wrap up? We're good? Next week, we will talk about Fred's penis and balls.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah! I can't wait. Until then, watch Dave and Johnny Live tomorrow. It's going to be a hell of a show, I'm telling you. We are really ramping up Dave and Johnny Live these days. Hell of a show tomorrow. The best in-your-house matches of all time. And then Saturday night, we'll be back here for the UFC 250 preview. Or no, not preview, watch-along. UFC 250, watch-along. I know. Date night. 10 p.m. Get the Manscaped ready. Get yourself prepared. 10 p.m. Saturday night, UFC 250 watch along. Until then, ringsidereport.net is our website. Thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel, Antoinette and Patrick. We love you big time. For AJ and Freddie, I'm Dave, and this has been Ringside Report. You guys didn't say it with me. Report.
Report.